Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is story about what if Naruto reincarnated into the DxD world. Being part of the Phenex family part 1. Before I start, please do support for more amazing content and comments for part 2. Do consider to subscribe my channel and share my video to your friends and check out the description as well. Let's start the video. The Underworld, a place where the human souls of the damned were sent for committing the most sinister sins. A chaotic and vile place that made all the disgraced souls suffer for all of eternity in brims of fire, torture and such. And the rulers of this world were the hideous creatures that feasted on such souls. They were the devils. Of course, that is what the Bible, that the God of Christianity, used to describe the realm of darkness. Devils are, in fact, very human-looking creatures, except that they were immortal beings with demonic magical abilities and other traits. To the devils, the underworld was their home and was nothing like what the Holy Bible has described it. The underworld actually had forests, cities, towns and such, no ocean. But of course, there is an order where all the devils were ruled by 4 very powerful, very great devils known as the 4 great Satans. But below these Satans, there exist 34 noble families. Before there was 34, there have been 72 families known to all as the 72 pillars. The reason there are now 34 families is because most of the other families have perished from the Great War fighting against both God and his angel faction, and the fallen angel faction known as Grigori. Now among these family exists a unique family who govern both fire and wind, whose bodies were similar to the legendary creature of immortal. The family is known as the Phenex family, named after the great Phoenix of legend. In this family, there was one interesting child who was still deep asleep in his luxurious bed. Although as he slept he was starting to wake up because of an annoyance. The annoyance being that someone was pounding on his bedroom door. As he continued to ignore it, his bedroom door opened to reveal a young girl no older than 3 years old. She had dark blue eyes and blonde curly hair. She wore an elegant toddler-sized dress. Once inside, she toddled her way towards the bed where she climbed on it. She then made it directly towards the center where she then started to jump up and down on it. "Ni-san! Wake up!" she repeated several times before the young boy finally rose from the bed. All right, Revel, I'm up, the older brother replied. "Come on, Naruto Nizan, it's time to play," Revel cheerfully said. Okay, but first let me get some breakfast," Naruto said. Revel nodded in agreement as she hopped out of bed and left the room. Being fully awake now, Naruto decided to get out bed, freshen up, and get some breakfast. Walking over to his private bathroom, he got himself ready. Naruto Phenex is a young 7-year-old blonde boy and is the 4th son of the Phenex family. Naruto's room is a large room that is big as an apartment studio. It had all the basic furniture such as a desk, cabinet, drawers, bookcases and the current home entertainment system, along with his bed and bathroom. Once he was freshened up, Naruto was wearing his regular type of clothing, an orange short-sleeved shirt, blue shorts, and a pair of sneakers. Walking out of his room, he glanced at his radio clock to see that it was 10 in the morning. Evening. After a day of entertaining Revel, Naruto and his little sister walked towards the dining hall for dinner. Once he had breakfast, Naruto found Revel where the two hung out for the day, doing whatever Revel wanted to do. Playing both physical and strategic games, Naruto was glad that the day was over since playing with Revel was fun but still tiring. Arriving at the dining room, both spotted their family. Sitting at the head of the table was their father, Lord Phenex, head of the Phenex family. Sitting on his right side was their mother, Layla Phenex, also known as Lady Phenex. On his left, his oldest brother, Revel Phenex, the current heir of the Phenex family along with his wife. Sitting next to their mother was the 3rd eldest brother, Riser Phenex, aged 15. Their entire family had waited for the youngest children of the family where they made their way towards their respected seats. Naruto sat next to Revel's wife while Revel sat next to Riser. Once everyone was at the table, the family had dinner. While eating, Naruto could see that his father and mother were, secretly, eyeing him for some reason. Naruto knew that out of all the members of the Phenex family, he was the most different, appearance-wise. Like the rest of the Phenex family, he had blonde hair, but his was wilder and spikier and had ear-length bangs framing either side of his face, unlike the rest of the men in the family whose hair was short and tamed. Along with the hair, he had sapphire eyes while everyone in the family had dark blue eyes. The biggest difference between him and the rest of his family was that his face. His brothers looked like their father with some bits of their mother, while Revel looked exactly like their mother with a few characteristics from Lord Phenex. Naruto didn't. Finishing dinner, Lord Phenex got his family's attention where he looked at his youngest son. "Naruto, tomorrow you'll be coming along with me and you, mother," Lord Phenex stated. "What do you mean, father? Where are we going?" Naruto asked. You'll be coming with us to visit the Gremory family, Lord Phenex replied. Why am I going with you too? The young boy asking again. Lord Phenex explained that it was necessary for him to meet up with other devil families, just like his older siblings did when they were at his age. Naruto wasn't interested in visiting other families since he thought it was going to be boring since it was going to be an adult thing. His mother then told him that the Gremory has a young girl around his age, so he won't be too bored. After a bit of speaking, Naruto agreed where Lord Phenex told Riser to watch over Revel for the day because Naruto was going with them. Early afternoon. Traveling using teleportation magic in a noble carriage, Naruto along with his parents made their way towards the Gremory Manor. Being bored during the travel, the young blonde Phenex slept halfway through the carriage. He was suddenly shaken a bit as Naruto groggily opened his eyes to see his mother looking at him. Lady Phenex told him to properly fix himself, since they're close to arriving to the Gremory Manor. 5 minutes later, the Phenex family arrived at the front of the giant castle where they had an entourage to greet them. Stepping out of the carriage, they were greatly greeted by the guards, maids, and butlers of the Gremory family where they were then led into the mansion. Entering in the castle's main entrance, Naruto saw several family members which he guessed was the Gremory family. Taking a good look, Naruto saw each member of the family in front of him. The first was a middle-aged looking man with crimson hair and goatee. He wore a stylish white tuxedo with black shoes. Next to him is a beautiful young woman in her late teens with shoulder-length brown hair. She wore a cream-colored dress that reached just above her ankles. Standing a bit away from the two was another man who is quite handsome and has the appearance of a 20-year-old who also had crimson hair. By his side, another beautiful woman appeared to be in her early 20s with silver hair and matching eyes. Her hair flowed all the way down to her back and features a long braid on each side with small blue bows at the ends. She is wearing a blue and white French-made outfit with long sleeves and a white-made headband over her head. The only added visible feature was the red lipstick on her lips. The only person that caught Naruto's attention the most was the one that looked to be around the same age as him. A young girl with crimson locks, like the men, that reached her shoulder blades and is wearing a cream-colored dress like the brunette woman. Walking up to them, the older-looking man walked up to the Phenex family. Greetings, my friends of the Phenex family. I hope you had a safe trip here? The crimson hair man greeted them. Greetings to you, Lord Gremory and Lady Gremory. Lord Phenex happily replied, the trip was pleasant. He answered. Lord Phenex then turned his attention to the other crimson hair man. It's an honor as always, Lord Lucifer. It's a pleasure as well, Lord Phenex. Although this time you seem to have another child with you. Who might this be? Lucifer asked as he looked down at Naruto, who didn't show any emotion. Getting a quick nudge from his mother, Naruto walked forward towards Lucifer. Everyone was staring at the young blonde since he was going to be giving the current title holder of Lucifer and ruler of all the underworld his greeting, which many believed was to be a respectable and proper gesture like any high-class devil would know. Lazily lifting his hand, Naruto waved at Surzex. Yo, he simply said. Ow! Naruto cried out as a visible lump formed over his head. Cradling his new headache, he looked at his mother, whom gave him a mild glare with a raised fist. Naruto, you're in the presence of a Satan, be more polite. Lady Phenex lectured lightly. Hearing this, Naruto straightened himself, coughed into his hand to clear his voice. He looked back at Surzex. Yo, how's it going? He said as he lazily waved him back like the last time. Oh. Again? Why you hit me? I asked how he's doing. Naruto cried out as he cradled his now second lump on his head, curtsy from his mother. Lady Phenex sighed as she shook her head at her son's antics. Before she can even lecture her son again, the sudden sound of laughter could be heard ringing out into the room. All of the occupants looked to see Surzex laughing and wiping away a tear. Ha ha ha, I like him already. Lord Gremory coughed into his hand to both clear his voice and get everyone's attention. Well, anyway, seeing as you introduced your son, I would like to introduce my daughter. Where his gaze moved towards the small red-headed girl. Rias, if you please, suggested the elder Gremory. The now named Rias stepped forward, giving a light curtsy. Hello, my name is Rias Gremory. I'm 5 years old and heiress to the Gremory family. Introducing herself to everyone. Lord Phenex looked pleased at this, where he made his voice known. Now with the introductions out of the way, I think we should get to the topic at hand. Where Lord Gremory agreed. Deciding for a more comfortable setting, Lord Gremory led everyone towards to an appropriated room. Walking inside the meeting room, filled with table and seats, Lord Gremory offered seats to their guests, which they happily accepted. Once everyone was comfortable, both families looked at each other. Now let's talk about the topic that we discussed before. Lord Phenex started off. Yes, the joining of our families, said Lord Gremory with a smile. Naruto was really curious now, with his raised eyebrow being the only visible proof of it. Now, despite being young, Naruto isn't stupid since he knew that the joining of two families usually means one of two options: take over another family or arrange marriage between the two families, which he started to have a bad feeling about it. So it's agreed then, the youngest son of the Phenex family, Naruto Phenex, and heiress of the Gremory family, Rias Gremory, are officially arranged to be married, Lord Phenex proudly announced. 3 years later. Outside the Phenex Manor, Naruto was lying on the ground, panting heavily, as he relaxed in the family's training area. Around him, the training area showed signs of destruction as there are disturbed mounds of earth, scars, and slices on the nearby wood or rocks. Lying on the ground, he thought about what happened a few years ago. Flashback. All of the Gremory workers/employees continued with their own assignments/chores when all of a sudden they all heard a loud voice all over the castle that stopped them for a moment. What? In the meeting room, where both the Gremory and Phenex families were in, looked over to see Naruto's stunned face as he looked both paled and a ghostly figure of himself was leaking out his mouth. Naruto, what's wrong? Lord Phenex bewilderedly asked. Snapping out his trance, Naruto looked back at his father with disbelief look, like why he was even asking that question. What's wrong? You just decided who I'm going to spend my life with. Taking a few moments to breathe, why me? He asked. Being quiet throughout the whole time looked surprised to see Naruto's reaction. Sirzex looked insulted as he stood up and pounded the table with both his hands. What do you mean by why me? How can you reject my cute little sister, who is the cutest little girl in all the underworld? Sirches remarked. Naruto realized what he said where he looked at the leader of Underworld. That's not what I meant. I've got nothing against her, it's just this situation, I guess. Naruto the young blonde heard where he turned to see his mother's gaze. You have a chance here to unite two of the major families. Don't waste this opportunity. We're placing a lot of responsibility on you, so trust us. Lady Phenex finished with a small smile. Oh yeah, marrying me off to a stranger, I feel so much better now. Naruto sarcastically muttered to himself. Lady Gremory decided to add something with a playful wink. You never know, you two may come to like each other as more than friends. Naruto was about to respond to Lady Gremory, but Lord Gremory quickly cut in. Rias, why don't you take Naruto on a tour around the estate? Asking his young daughter. The young crimson-hair girl's face brightened up since she was getting bored in this meeting, plus she would also get the opportunity to make a new friend. Getting up and skipping over to Naruto, she literally dragged him out of the room by his arm. Come on Naruto, I've got loads of places to show you. What? Is all he said before Rias started to drag him out of the meeting room. No, wait. Gah! I wasn't finished yet. Help! Naruto hysterically cried out as he was being pulled out of the meeting. He even made the attempt to claw in his fingers directly at the door where his fingernails clawed through the thick wood for all those to see. Once they left, the adults shared a laugh as both Lady Gremory and Phenex muttered out, "Ah, young love," while both fathers couldn't help but pity the boy in a way since he now had a leash around his neck. End flashback. Ever since then, Naruto and Rias started to hang out with each other where they soon started to have a pretty good friendship between each other. Of course, it helped break the ice between them when they both shared an embarrassing secret with each other. Flashback. Being led around the entire castle, Rias decided the first stop would be in her room. Naruto has stopped his attempts to free himself where he just settled on traveling with Rias. Entering the room, Naruto saw something that made him look surprised/stunned at what Rias' room was like. All over the room, posters, movies, books with anime and manga stuff were piled all over. Naruto looked impressed on the fact that she had this much anime and mange stuff, even though he never got into it much. So what do you think? Rias cheerfully asked him, who was standing next to her. Naruto simply muttered out, "Otaku." The moment he said that, he looked to Rias where she just suddenly disappeared. He looked around where he found the red-haired princess hiding under the covers of her bed. You probably think I'm weird, don't you? Rias muttered from under her covers. Probably, if I have standards. If anything, you probably be considered normal while I'm the weird one, considering that I have a strong obsession for ramen and can eat 3 times my own weight of it. Naruto admitted to her. Rias uncovered her head to look at the blonde boy where she looked at him curiously. He confessed that he was so obsessed with the food that his mother had to restrict him from eating so much of the stuff that he had to make secret compartments, and such in order for him to have it as a secret snack or meal. Hearing Naruto's confession, Rias started to giggle at him. "You're right, you are weirder than me," she confessed to him. End flashback. Since that time, he visited Rias regularly, where they both started to grow a really strong friendship towards each other. His thoughts about his relationship with Rias stopped since he started to stand back up, but barely. Taking another deep breath, he started to work on creating his new move, even though his body was screaming for him to stop training. The reason why he was working so hard was because of a condition that he has that no one in his family has. Naruto Phenex, the son of the current Lord Phenex, didn't inherit both the flame and instant healing ability that the rest of his family had. It was only after a couple of weeks from visiting Rias and the Gremory family that, during one lesson, from his mother, they all found out something very disturbing. Before visiting the Gremory family, Lord and Lady Phenex decided to start training Naruto and wielding his magic, where he excelled in learning the basics of his demonic power. During the lesson, Naruto got seriously injured, where everyone believed that Naruto would instantly heal up since he was a member of the Phenex family, but to his family's shock, Naruto wasn't instantly healing/regenerating from the injury into his shoulder. Using Phenex tears to heal him, his parents asked him to perform a fire attack, where they showed him how. Naruto had tried several times, but he wasn't able to perform any fire attacks. Although he didn't perform any fire magic, he was able to perform strong wind magic that their family was also known for. Being examined over, Naruto and the rest of the family found out that Naruto was the only Phenex that didn't inherit the Phenex ability of fire or instant healing. Naruto was saddened since he can't live up to the rest of his family's heritage, but was surprised to know that he does have a healing ability in both his physical and tears. Taking a closer look, Naruto's physical ability showed that he has a strong healing ability, just extremely slow, where it would take several minutes for him to heal from a scrape on his elbow or knees. Longer for more serious injuries. Although his healing ability was slow, it showed to be a lot stronger, where Beelzebub himself studied both his body and his tears. Naruto's healing ability might be slower than the rest of the Phenex, but it showed that he actually has an immunity/resistance to several strong poisons that would normally kill a devil, such as the poison of the nine-headed Hydra, where even his tears also held the same type of quality, which makes it even rarer. Phenex tears can heal injuries such as severed arms or mortal wounds. However, Naruto's tears are a lot more special. Naruto's tears doesn't heal instantly like regular Phenex tears. Instead, it restores/regenerates a person's body to being 100% back to health, where even the loss of organs are regenerated, while also healing the person from a very powerful poison. It's because of this that even Suzuka's queen, Graphia, personally suggested that Naruto's tears be made classified even to the elders/advisors, since information leaks might cause problems for the young boy, along with having a bottle of his tears in case of extreme emergency for the four Satans if needed. With the secret of his tears being classified by everyone except to him, his parents, and Lord Lucifer and Beelzebub, along with their most trusted associates, every other devil family considered Naruto to be extremely weak and such. He only ever heard of this during the parties that his parents were invited, where he came along with them as their own acquaintance. Even though several head families and other high-level devils kept it quiet from him, he had incredible hearing, where he heard that he wasn't anything special. Several times he was tempted to reveal his secret abilities, but had to keep it quiet. He was also bullied by his older brother, Riser, where he teased and called him names, as well as telling him on how much a disgrace or failure he was to the family. Naruto was really depressed about it, where Rias cheered him up, where he learned about her cousin Serog Bale. Hearing his story along with what he was planning on doing, he was inspired to the same thing, where he spent the next several years on training himself to ground. In 3 years' time, Naruto has completely changed as a person. Naruto has become a lot stronger as a person, physically, emotionally, and mentally. Naruto has learned to ignore all the taunting and such, while only listening to the praises he earned through his hard work. He has grown to be a cunning and smart individual, where he even defeated his friend, Sona Citri, who he met through Rias in chess. Although he was considered to be book smart, he was a prodigy when it came to combat. His martial arts skills were way above average, where he trained with several of any of Riser's or other of his family's peerage members, being able to hold his own against Eubelina, Shiulan, and Isabella, for example. His skills in handling weaponry were also high up in the specs, as he used either kunai, a katana, or chains. His physical abilities were among high. His magical abilities is what made him be known as a prodigy. Unable to use his family's fire ability to either attack or fly, since the Phenex family wings are fire, he learned from both his mother and father all the wind magic that they know, which was fused, since the Phenex family primarily use fire magic in their fights while adding wind to strengthen it. Soon mastering the basics, Naruto focused on increasing them to new heights where he did everything to increase his strength along with also trying to find a better use in using his demonic powers. In the 3 years, Naruto has surprised his family by creating several new wind attacks for himself such as Majestic Kaze no Ken o Funsai, Crushing Fist of Majestic Wind. He also found a way to change his inability to fly when he mastered Shundo, Instant Movement. Instant Movement allowed him to temporarily increase his maximum speed by using his magic to triple it for a short burst where he used it to fight against his brother's evil pieces to win. With Shundo as the basis, he thought of the output where he then moved on where he mastered Koku Shundu, Void Instant Movement, to help him move in the air with incredible speed that he helped him keep up with his own brother, Riser, when he sparred against him. Lord and Lady Phenex had openly said to him that they were proud of their son adaptation since, even with the disability he was presented with, Naruto was able to improve through leaps and bounds to become a very strong symbol for the Phenex family. Even though he was able to improve himself to greater heights, he knew that he needed more in order to fulfill his dream on becoming a Satan, which led him to his current time right now. Naruto studied up where he learned about the demonic magic that every devil possess. However, no one knew what the purest form of the demonic magic does since all devils add their signature element into it. Such as Graphia using her demonic magic to create ice while Sona uses her to create water, and so forth. Naruto wondered if there was a way to create attacks with just the purest form of demonic magic without adding the element to it where he tried to figure it out. It wasn't until he recalled from watching an anime show with Rias how the character used his ki to create a ball, although mentally he thought about it since the ball of energy made him feel like he was familiar with it. This led him to see if he can do the same thing. For over a year, he's been working on creating his newest attack where he was able to get it started by using water balloons, rubber balls, and air balloons. Rasengan training. Using the water balloon, Naruto used his demonic energy to pop it, which took him over 2 months. Popping the rubber balloon was much more difficult where he pushed himself for nearly 5 months before he got it. Finally, the air balloon is where he was as he tried to control the demonic energy without breaking the thin material while pouring in 100%. So far, he hasn't made any progress where he was stuck for the past 3 months on trying to create his technique. He would ask his parents for help, but Naruto wanted this to be a secret. Just as he was about to try and perform his technique, a sudden pillar of flames appeared next to him. He wasn't bothered by it since he was used to his family making such a flashy entrance. Naruto waited for a moment before the pillar dissipated to reveal his mother. "Mother, why are you here?" Naruto asked. "Your father and I have decided that it was now a good time for you to visit the Earth, since you'll have to go there soon if you wanted to find your future peerage. Lady Phenex?" Naruto was surprised that he will be going to the human world. Getting over his surprise, Lady Phenex told him that he has an hour to get ready since she'll be taking him to the Earth today, where she'll be taking him to England. 2 years later. Out in the Phenex family estate, the sounds of fighting could be heard around the training area. The sounds were created by 2 boys sparring against each other. The 2 are Naruto Phenex and his best friend, Serog Bale. The 2 were currently having one of their 2-month spar sessions. Both boys were fighting using only their physical strengths such as strength and speed. The only difference was that Naruto was using his magic to increase both his strength and speed to be on even ground with Serog. Naruto and Serog's friendship started off rocky when they first met. They first met each other when Naruto visited Rias, where Serog and his mother also visited when he was 9 years old. Rias introduced the 2, but Serog's attitude wasn't that welcoming since he believed that Naruto was one of those devils that looked down on others, where he pushed Naruto's annoyance to the limit. Soon their arguments changed when the 2 boys started fighting each other outside the Grimmer Castle. Rias tried to stop them but couldn't, where she went off to find her mother or someone. Before she did, Rias was stopped when out of nowhere, Serzex caught her. The reason he stopped her is to explain to her that sometimes boys settled their differences with their fists rather than their words. They both fought furiously at each other where, by the end, both boys were lying on the ground. It was only after that the 2 actually started talk to each and soon became friends, where Naruto explained that like Serog, who couldn't use the Bale family's power of destruction, he can't use the flames of the Phenex family to attack, fly, or to recover from any injuries. Once they got to know each other more, the 2 became pretty good friends, where they challenge each other every couple of weeks to 2 months, after they train themselves. With a final roar of action, the spar that the 2 have been doing has now ended. In the middle of the training field, Naruto laid on the ground where across from him laid Serog, the rightful heir of the Bale family. As the 2 laid on their backs, the sounds of running footsteps were coming to their aid. For Serog, a young girl with blonde hair, tied in a ponytail, came to his side to see if he was all right. For Naruto, 2 young girls came to his side. The first girl is a young 14-year-old girl that had hazel eyes with cat-like pupils and black shoulder-length hair with split bangs with an ornately detailed headband on her head. She wore a black kimono with a red interior that opened at her shoulders that showed her developing body. The biggest feature she had was the fact that she had a pair of black cat ears and a single black tail. The second girl was a 10-year-old with long blonde hair and hazel yellow eyes. She wore a green short-sleeved dress that stopped just above her knees with brown sandals. Her biggest feature was the fact that she had elf ears. "Naruto-sama, are you okay?" asked the elf-ear girl out of concern. "Yeah, I'm fine. Nothing that a little R&R would help," Naruto replied. "That sounds like a plan, Naruto-kun. But I think it's best we get the Phenex tears since you got very important appointment with Beelzebub today, an appointment that I and Shizu have been waiting for a while now," said the black cat ear girl with a hint of desperation. Realization set in motion where the young Phenex instantly got back up. "Ah. That's right, today's the day I finally get my evil pieces, which means I can also make you two be part of my peerage, Kuroka and Shizuka," he reminded himself. These two are Naruto's friends where he met the two of them in a different situation than they are now. Receiving the Phenex tears that Shizuka had with her where she ministered its contents to both him and Serorg. Once their injuries were healed, Naruto apologized to Serorg since he needed to end today's visit because of his appointment with Beelzebub. Accepting the apology, both boys called it a day where Naruto went to his room to clean himself up. Once he was ready, he went to his parents where he said that he'll be leaving now to meet up with Beelzebub. "Naruto, do you want me or any of our peerage members to go with you? It would be understandable since you'll be meeting Lord Beelzebub for the first time," Lady Phenex said. Naruto looked both confident and determined as he replied, "That's all right, mother. I'll be bringing Kuroka and Shizuka with me since I would make them part of my peerage immediately. Plus, I want to show that I'm strong enough to go out by myself without being babied or anything like that," with a smirk on his face. Lord Phenex looked pleased since Naruto showed that, even though he didn't have the fire magic of the Phenex, he definitely had the spirit of the family. "Alright then, Naruto, good luck on getting your evil pieces. There's a car that will take you to Beelzebub's lab," Lord Phenex said, which Naruto thanked his father. He left home and entered the car with Kuroka and Shizuka, where the vehicle started to move where the three children enjoyed the drive. As Kuroka and Shizuka chatted with each other about the spar that Naruto just had with Serorg, Naruto thought about the two girls. Naruto met Kuroka over 2 years ago, just a couple of months later after he met Serorg. Naruto was training around his personal territory that his family have given to him since he was a high-class devil. Each family in the remaining 34 pillars have a large territory that they own, such as the Gremmy family whose entire family territory is roughly the same size of Honshu in Japan. Naruto inherited a small piece of his family's land, roughly the size of Austria. For some reason, he felt at home when he was out on the wilderness. Using his speed and agility, he leapt through trees/rock and vice versa of his terrain with incredible skill. As he ran around, he arrived at a waterfall that was on his territory. He greatly liked how elegant the waterfall gives to the area, but his pleasant feelings suddenly turned into caution as he sensed someone or something. Cautiously looking around since he was curious on who it is, since if it was a creature on the hunt, it would have attacked already given how he stood in an open area for a sneak attack. With no animals attacking him, Naruto figured that it was some type of person or intelligent creature that was just hiding for safety reasons. Looking around, he stopped as he decided to use his wind magic to feel around the area. It was only when he felt the air shifting around near the waterfall, Naruto went to check it out. He found a large cave being hidden behind some rock formations. Deciding to investigate it, he moved directly towards it. It was when he was about to step into the cavern that he was attacked. Barely evading a claw strike before he jumped back. He looked in front of him, where he met Kuroka, with the same clothing just a bit rough-upped. Before he could even ask, Kuroka attacked Naruto, where he also engaged at her as well. Fighting Kuroka wasn't easy since Kuroka was very dangerous, especially since she used her hands as claws while also having the agility of a cat, since she was an Ikomata. They both fought very furiously against each other before Naruto won out, where he put Kuroka in a submission move that avoided her from using her claws and mouth to scratch or bite. Getting her to calm down, Naruto asked on why she attacked him, or for the matter on why she was so focused from stopping him from entering the cave. The answer came out in the form of another Nikomata, in the form of a small white-haired girl. Figuring it out the reason, without being told anything from the girl's side, Naruto explained that he was wondering on who was stalking him, where he figured it was her. Kuroka confessed that she was worried that he was going to attack her little 6-year-old little sister from getting hurt. Knowing the truth as well as the worried/scared look that the little white-haired Nikomata was giving him, Naruto released her, where he explained that he wasn't going to do anything to her, and that he was just going to leave once he found out the truth. Seeing/hearing no dissipation from him, the girl was thankful that her worries were nothing, but then heard, introducing himself, that he was from the Phenex family and that she was living in his territory without permission, which he wanted to know. Kuroka explained how they just recently lost their mother, where she was now taking care of the both of them on her own. Hearing this, Naruto agreed to let them stay in his territory, where he even gave her his insignia in case anyone else came. For the next 2 months, Naruto visited Kuroka and her little sister, Chiron, where he and Kuroka had fun together while Chiron would eat the sweets or treats that Naruto would bring them. After some time, Naruto had asked Kuroka to become part of his peerage, where, once hearing all the benefits, she agreed, and if the same offer would be given to Chiron. Naruto explained that it could be a problem since in Nekasha, which are a very rare Nikomata that Kuroka and Chiron are, there could be some problems with him on having both instead of one. Kuroka was worried, but Naruto said that he knows someone who would love to have a little sister as cute as Chiron in her peerage. Kuroka was worried about it, but Naruto assured her that she can visit her every time he went to visit Rias. With that, Kuroka agreed, where all three went back to his home, which he surprised his family with his new friends and future peerage member. Flashback. Teleporting into the Phenex Manor using his magic, Naruto with Kuroka and Chiron standing by his side, he led them through the hallways of his home towards the living room, which he hoped that his parents were there. Arriving there, he noticed that not only was his parents but also his brother, Riser, and sister, Revel, were with them along with some guests. It was Rias and her brother, along with his queen, as well as one more person. It was a young girl with violet eyes and long raven hair that reached down to her back while she wore a pretty violet dress. Making his presence known, everyone turned where his parents welcomed him back while Surzex cheerfully greeted him like his usual way. Rias jumped out of her seat where she jumped and hugged him. "Hello, Naruto-kun," Rias happily said. "Hey Rias, how's it been? I'm sorry that I haven't visited you in a while and hanging out with Zerodmore," Naruto greeted back while also offering her apologies. Rias didn't mind where she said that it gave her a chance to be with her new raven hair friend. Naruto acknowledged her where he introduced himself while the girl introduced herself as Akino Himejima. "Akino? That's a nice name?" Naruto commented. Era, thank you Naruto-sama," Akino said while her cheeks became a bit pink. Before things could get more interesting, Naruto said that he has 2 people to introduce to everyone, where Naruto signaled the 2 girls to come into the room. Kuroka and Chiron walked forward where Chiron stood behind Kuroka since she was a little nervous. Everyone was curious where Naruto introduced the 2 to everyone here, where Kuroka and Chiron politely greeted them. He explained the story to everyone since they were curious on how he met them. Once he finished explaining, he looked at his parents with glee in his eyes. "Also, Kuroka here has agreed to become a member of my peerage once I get my evil pieces," Naruto stated, which his parents, Surzex, has congratulated him on picking a strong and rare species of Nikomata. Riser seemed jealous on the fact since his face sneered at how lucky Naruto got a cute Nikomata for himself. Surzex wondered on about Chiron since there wasn't going to be an issue with Kuroka since it was only one Nekasha that Naruto was planning on turning into a devil, but if he was going to acquire both of them then it could become a problem. Riser had an idea, which you all already know, add to peerage if any of you didn't guess, where he made it known to everyone. But before he could say anything, Naruto spoke first, where he said that he was hoping if Rias would take her in since it would give Rias a new member to her growing family/peerage, but also assures that Kuroka and Chiron would still be able to find a way to stay close since Naruto and Rias visit each other every following week. The idea was very acceptable, where Rias cheerfully accepted while also offering Chiron that she'll take good care of her since she now has an adorable little sister. Surzex smiled since Rias has gotten another member into her family. Lord and Lady Phenex deeply approved, where they then got some servant to show Kuroka a room for her to live in, where she smiled at the thought. The same thing Surzex said to Graphia since Chiron was going to live with Rias from now on. Since then, things has gotten better for the Nikomata sisters. End flashback. He also recalled how his brother Riser wanted Naruto to trade Kuroka to him, which he denied it immediately since he knew his brother was up to something, which he even got his mother involved when Riser had forcefully been trying to change Kuroka's mind in joining his peerage instead of Naruto. Soon after Kuroka moved in with him, things for the 2 have been fun. Naruto and Kuroka trained together where they improved little by little. Kuroka also gets the chance to visit Chiron, who took up the name Kaneko Tuja as a sign of her new beginnings but will still respond to Chiron from Kuroka only. Although, having Kuroka was great, he found it a bit uneasy at night, where every morning, he always found her sleeping with him wearing a simple shirt, while hugging him close to her developing body. A year after meeting Kuroka, he met Shizuka, Shizu for short, who had a similar background as Kuroka, although he met her during one of his trips into the nearest devil city located in the Phenex family territory. Flashback. Naruto was walking with his mother into one of the devil cities that was in the Phenex territory. After an hour of walking around with his mother, and her shopping trips with Ravel, he had enough. Seeing a chance to escape, he took it where he had disguised himself as a commoner by stripping away his fancy clothes into his usual attire, shirt, pants and sneakers. Once he was out, he went to the closest forest area away from the city. Leaving the city for a more tranquil 18th century village area, he began exploring. As he walked around, he made his way towards the open fields. It was here that he heard some crying in one of the open fields away from the buildings and such. Deciding to investigate it, the blonde Phenex looked around where he then spotted a small group of boys and girls, behind some bushes. As he got closer, he saw that a few of them were from noble families that lived around here. When he was close enough, Naruto saw that they were picking on a blonde girl. Seeing enough of this, Naruto stepped forward, announced his presences while not revealing who he is. Standing up to the bullies, the noble children went up to him where they threatened him, which he made a snide remark where things heated up between him and the small group. 5 minutes later, Naruto was standing tall where all the bullies that he fought now laid on the ground. The few that didn't fought him just ran away in fright, since the children that Naruto had beaten were the strongest in the area. Walking up to the young girl, he took a close look to see that it was a young girl, around the same age as him, 10 years old. The young girl looked timid, but seeing Naruto not only smiling at her but defending her from the bullies, she looked relieved to know that he wasn't going to do anything bad to her. End flashback. After rescuing her, Naruto invited her to eat something where he was amazed on how much the girl ate. He guessed that she hasn't eaten anything in a while considering how dirty her clothing were, and guessed that she also doesn't have a home. While eating together, the two kids quickly started to chat with each other where he learned that her name was Shizuka. Not only did he learn her name, but also the reason why she was being bullied. Shizuka was of devil, human and elf descendant. He wondered about her parents where she said that she was an orphan for the last 3 years since her parents were dead. She's been living in the streets or in the forests outside the city for that entire time. Naruto felt sorry for her but could tell that Shizuka is really a strong person to be able to survive that long without any help. Hearing on how tough Shizuka's life has been, Naruto had little doubt in his mind that she could be an amazingly strong person if given the chance to grow and train properly. He formally introduced himself as Naruto Phenex, one of the children from the Phenex family who is reigning family of the territory she was in. Hearing who he was, Shizuka grew nervous, but was surprised to learn that Naruto offered her a chance to start fresh with a new life for herself by being part of his future peerage. Shizuka wondered on what he meant when Naruto explained on what a peerage is, where he explained the original and his own version to her, as well as telling her his dream about becoming a Satan. Shizuka was speechless when Naruto offered her a chance to start off new with a new home, and being able to become a high-class devil one day if she worked hard enough. She accepted his request where he took her back toward his mother and sister to introduce her as well as get his punishment over with. Coming back to the Phenex family, Lady Phenex grounded Naruto for the week with no ramen for 3 months, much to his torment. Getting his punishment over with, Naruto introduced his family to Shizuka, who shyly greeted them. The family was surprised to see that Naruto found another cute girl to join his future peerage. A few months later, after she started living with him, they both found out something interesting. During their studies and such, Shizuka had a natural talent when learning magic, mostly healing magic, along with having a talent with water, wind, and plants. Conjecturing because of her elf blood she must be close to nature because of it. But the thing that she excelled in was learning on medical herbs and potions, so much so that she wants to become the strongest healer in the world. Knowing that, Naruto smiled, since not only does Shizuka have a dream worth achieving but also knew that any future raiding games, Shizuka's healing spells would be a great asset. His thoughts stopped when the car stopped its movement, indicating that they've arrived. Stepping out of the car, Naruto, Kuroka, and Shizuka now stood in front of Lord Beelzebub's home. Beelzebub's home is a ruined castle that had destroyed walls inside the protective walls, like the castle of Frankenstein. Walking up towards the main entrance, he announced himself to the doorman where he acknowledged him. Leading him inside, all three waited for a bit until the Satan was ready. For several minutes, the three children just waited patiently until another servant came and got them to follow him. Walking into Beelzebub's laboratory, they were amazed on how many computers and machines are in it. Getting over the awe feeling, they continued to follow the servant to see Beelzebub. Ajuka Beelzebub was a handsome man in his mid-20s, who, like Serzex, was one of the 4 heroes in the anti-Satan faction that prevailed over the old Satan faction. Once the servant escorted them to Ajuka, the person left where the three children were now in front of one of the devil leaders. Naruto greeted the Satan leader like he does with any important people he has met in the past. Yo Ajuka, Naruto lazily waved to. Naruto-sama. Shizuka yelped at Naruto since he greeted the Satan leader like he was just another person. Before she can say anything, she heard the Satan leader respond. Sup, Naruto, Ajuka said in kind. So, do you have my evil pieces ready, Ajuka? Naruto bluntly wondered, skipping the annoying chit-chat to get to the point. Getting up from his seat that he was in, he led Naruto and the group to a machine. Looking at the blonde Phenex. It should be a fast process since I already have your data from the tests we did a few years ago. I just need to update your data from 4 years ago to your current status. Ajuka explained. Understanding, Ajuka began to question Naruto, where he answered every question he can. Once it was done, Ajuka activated the machine, where after a few minutes, a set of chess pieces were spit out. Seeing the pieces, Ajuka glanced at Naruto. Alright, your evil pieces are ready. The only thing left is for you to spill some of your blood on all of them to make sure that the set will only respond to you and you alone, he said. Naruto nodded in understanding, where he then moved forward, where he looked at his evil pieces before he cut his hand with a blade of wind he conjured to cut his palm and allow his blood to seep out. He moved his bleeding hand over the pieces, where he gripped it firmly to allow his blood to bleed out quicker, spilling onto the chess pieces. As blood flowed down the set, the pieces started to glow a bit before being consumed in his power. Several moments later, his hand started healing up quickly, where he then wiped the blood away with a tissue. His evil pieces were born, gold-covered pieces with small orange-red hot rod flames at the base of each piece with a silver-black lining. Come on, it's not Naruto if there is no orange in it. As he, as well as Kuroka and Shizuka, was viewing his pieces, Ajuka began to explain on how it works. Now, as you see, there are a total of 16 pieces. Every one of them is meant to be used for your peerage, except for this one. Pointing at the king piece. The king piece is for you alone. With the king piece, the other pieces will respond to you, Ajuka stated. Naruto picked the item, where it was then absorbed into his flesh. Once it was done, he looked at Ajuka. There, the king is inside me. Out of curiosity though, you said that the other pieces will respond to me? What do you mean by that? Questioning the Satan Lord. You're on your own for that, Ajuka simply answered. Letting it go, Naruto asked about the other pieces and their abilities. Ajuka explained to them simply to the young Phenex. The queen has 9 pawns worth, which also has the same characteristics of rook, knight, and bishops, along with being second in command after you, since the queen is essentially the king's right hand. The rooks are the powerhouse of the peerage that are worth 5 pawns. Rooks have both high offense and defense, yet they're not fast, so their primary weakness are high-speed opponents. The bishops are the pieces gain enhanced magical abilities that can be used to conjure multiple spells for offense, defense, healing, etc. The downside will be that powerful spells will drain the user quicker and have trouble on regaining it back. Knights are worth 3 pawns, where the person also gain an increase of speed and agility. They can be useful in performing high-speed attacks but have low defense, where they're weak against powerful attacks along with legs if they're incapacitated. Finally, the pawns are worth only 1 pawn. The pawn pieces are regular pieces but have 2 ability to promote into any of the 4 previous pieces in enemy territory, such in raiding games or any of the other factions' territory, or getting permission from their king. And that's the basic information I give to you. Just like I said before, the rest is for you to figure it out, Ajuka explained. Nodding in understanding, he'd taken a closer look at his evil pieces, where he saw something funny with 3 of them. Asking Ajuka about it, the Satan Lord looked where he looked somewhat impressed. Now that's a first for me. It seems that you have 3 mutation pieces, 1 rook, bishop, and knight piece, Ajuka answered, where he explained to him about it. Mutation pieces are rare phenomenon where the mutation piece would be enough to reincarnate a person instead of having to use several pieces, such as a person might need more than 1 pawn or need both rooks. Now, 1 out of 10 devils possess a mutation piece. But for you to have 3 of them, that's something that's almost unbelievable to see, Ajuka commented. Nodding at it, he turned to Kuroka and Shizuka. Now then, I think it's about time we do something that we've been waiting for. Where the 2 girls smiled. Naruto looked at his pieces as he muttered to himself. After a bit of debating, he picked up 2 of his pieces. Shizuka, you have a talent for herbs and medical potions, so I'm sure that you'll be great in using healing magic. Kuroka, you'll just keep getting stronger and stronger, especially since you told me that you're soon going to train in using senjutsu and yujutsu soon. So I believe that the bishop pieces are good for you too, since there are many requirements that I need for a good queen, which you two don't have, Naruto said. What do you mean by that? Shizuka asked. Well, you don't like to fight where the queen has to fight when it calls for Shizuka, Naruto remarked, where she nodded, while Kuroka here kinda doesn't act responsible enough for the job, admitted the blonde. What? I'm responsible, Naya, Kuroka implied with a pout. Then why do you leave your room in such a messy state? Naruto plainly said, where Kuroka smiled dumbly at it, as she blushed a bit in embarrassment, since Lady Phenex has often scolded her about it too. Well, let's get this over, since I know that Kuroka is going to cost more to revive as a bishop, since you're just as strong as me. Where he gave Kuroka his mutated bishop piece while Shizuka would take the normal bishop piece. I, Naruto Phenex, command thee under my name for Kuroka and Shizuka, to become my servant, and lead a new life as my bishop, Naruto chanted. An orange-golden flame enveloped the two as the two bishop pieces merged into the two girls' bodies. Once the bishop pieces were absorbed into the girl's body, the flames died down where the phoenix symbol was now inscribed to them. Alright, now you two are officially the first two pieces of my peerage, congratulations, Naruto happily stated. Kuroka and Shizuka looked over themselves once they gathered their bearings, where they can tell that they completely changed from what they were before. Before anything could be said, they heard Ajuka clapping at them. Not bad, Naruto, I can tell that you chose well on using both your bishops. It actually makes me wonder on what type of members you'll choose as your peerage, Ajuka stated as he was curious on who he'll choose for the other mutation pieces. Once it was done, Naruto and his new bishops peacefully left the Satan's laboratory, taking with him the rest of his evil pieces. Sensing that the children has left, Ajuka just sighed as he looked at the far end of the work area. Okay, you two can come out now, I'm pretty sure you can't sense them around, he stated. Walking out from the shadows, the Devil Lord, Surzex Lucifer, and his queen, Graphia, came into the light. They casually made their way to Ajuka, who moved to another of his computer screens. Standing next to him, Surzex looked at his best friend. So are you rescanning his blood? Asked the redhead, getting the Satan's attention. Yes, from the extra drops of blood that spilled over, I was able to get a proper amount for this. The results should be finished in a few moments, Ajuka answered as he looked back at his computer screen. That's good. I'm very curious on how much Naruto's blood has been changing, Surzex remarked. Graphia looked at her husband. Surzex-sama, why is it that you want Ajuka-sama to retest Naruto-sama's blood? I can understand, because he is not only Rias-sama's fiancé, his blood is the strongest healing factor in the Phenex family. Why is it that you want to retest it again after a few years? Questioned the silver-hair queen. Surzex simply smiled back at his queen. Let's just say I've been having a gut feeling lately, a feeling that I hope won't cause any future problems. Where Graphia looked confused about his answer. It was around this moment that Ajuka's machine made some beeping sounds to inform them that it was finished analyzing the contents. Ajuka put his attention on his screen, where he looked at the results of the test. Seeing the results, Ajuka spoke surprisingly. Albi, looks like your gut is keener than your own senses, where Surzex and Graphia looked at the other Satan. Ajuka began to explain that Naruto's blood has changed from the last exam he took several years ago. Figuring that they were curious, Ajuka answered their curiosity by explaining to them on what he meant. Ajuka said that Naruto's blood has changed again, but differently. Even though his blood was demonic like theirs, Naruto's blood changed where not only demonic energy flowed deeply into him, but also small, tiny particles of another type of energy along with it. It is completely surprising, since every devil has a demonic energy with no traces of any other type of energy except for those who have been reincarnated into devils but still retain some of their abilities from their old lives. For Naruto to have, even if it's a small amount, was really unprecedented. So, does this mean that Naruto-kun? Surzex spoke up after hearing Ajuka's explanation, but stopped as Ajuka answered back, yes, it's a possibility. Although, until we can test him further, then we won't know, since the chances of him actually being able to wield that power is still less than 1%. He responded. However, getting the two Satan's attention, it also means that Naruto-sama has less than a 1% of actually wielding that power, Graphia implied. Ajuka nodded, where all three looked at the screen with Naruto's newest test results as they thought on what Naruto's future was going to be. Morning. As the sun began to rise over the city of Ko, the students of Ko Academy were calmly walking in through the front entrance of the school, where they were preparing for another day of school and lessons. It was around this time that many of the academy students that were walking around the hallways took a moment to stop at the sight that was also walking in the same hallways. Walking elegantly, the two most popular and beautiful school idols made their way to their classroom. The first one is considered to be the most beautiful woman to ever grace this school's floors. She was young in her late teens with light skin, blue-green eyes, and a buxom figure. She wore the Academy Girls' school uniform, which consists of a white long-sleeved, button-down shirt with a black ribbon on her shirt collar worn under a black shoulder cape and matching button-down corset, a magenta skirt with white accents, and brown shoes over white crew-length socks. The idol's most defined feature would be her long, crimson-red hair that reaches down to her thighs, with a single hair strand sticking out from the top. Her hair also has loose bangs covering her forehead, and side bangs framing her face. The second was another young woman with a buxom figure who was the same age as the first. She had very long black hair and violet eyes. Her hair is tied in a long ponytail, reaching all the way down to her legs with two strands sticking out from the top and sloping backwards, with an orange ribbon keeping it in place. She wore the same girl's uniform as the redhead girl, but she wore black knee-high socks. These two names are Rias Gremery and Akino Himejima, also known throughout Ko Academy as Koa's two great ladies. As the students that were in front of the two ladies spread out to allow them to pass them while they gazed at their beauty and elegance, Rias kept her gentle smile poker face while thinking about her problem, her engagement to her fiancé, Riser Phenex. She remembered when she first heard of the new arrangement of becoming Riser's bride. It happened 4 years ago. She was back home in the underworld with her peerage, Akino, Kaneko, and Kiba, preparing herself when she'll begin high school in the spring. Rias was very happy since her parents had allowed her to study in Japan since the beginning of their junior high school, with Sona Citri, who will also be attending in the same school under their new territory that they'll be responsible for, Ko City. She had just finished training with Akino and Kaneko, who were her training partners as Kiba was off training with his master, Surzex Knight, that she heard from one of the servants in the Gremery that they had visitors where she decided to freshen herself up. Finishing preparing herself, she headed to the living room with Akino behind her. Arriving at her destination, she was surprised to see that it was Lord and Lady Phenex of the Phenex family with Riser at their side, who had a very pleasing look on his face. Announcing her presence, everyone greeted her where she asked on why the Phenex family were visiting. Her father told her that he has some important news for her. At first, she happily spoke out if Naruto is returning to the underworld since he has been gone for nearly 4 years. Hearing Naruto's name, Riser sneered for a moment before he returned to his amused poker face. Lord Gremery, however, explained to his daughter that there have been some changes in the marriage contract. Bafflingly asking on what the changes are, Riser stepped forward where he lifted her chin up as he said that he'll be her new fiancé. This was startling information where she demanded to know on why for the sudden change since she is promised to marry Naruto. Her mother explained that because, even though Naruto was a high-class devil from the Phenex family, he technically doesn't count as a full Phenex since he can't perform the demonic flame, or immortality of the Phenex family, which Riser pointed out. It was then that Riser calmly said to her that because Naruto lacked the quality on being a true Phenex family member he suggested this change since he was a true Phenex. Rias already understood the situation, which she guessed that Riser has snaked his way into becoming her fiancé since she knew that he never liked the decision in the first place where he always argued about it but has now found a way to make himself the groom for her. She had asked if they had talked to Naruto about it but found out that they can't find him since he stopped sending his letters to his family over 2 months ago, where it was then that Riser jumped into the conversation. Hearing this, Rias argued about it but heard her father that it has been finalized where once the time was right, she'll be marrying Riser instead of Naruto. Not wanting to be in the same room as them, Rias quickly left, directly towards her room, before anyone could stop her with Akino right behind her. As she thought about it while going to class, she placed her hand on her chest while stopping at an open window, which she turned her head to look outside onto the sky as she felt the object around her neck. The object was a green crystal gem necklace, Shodai Hokage necklace design. The necklace around her neck represented, not just a bond, but also a promise to her. She remembered the day she got this necklace, the necklace she treasured with all her heart 8 years ago. Flashback. In the Gremery family's castle, Rias was outside, at the training ground, watching the spar that was happening right in front of her. Standing beside her were Akino, Kaneko, Kuroka, and Shizuka, whom looked just intrigued on what was happening right in front of her. Naruto was standing on one side of the training field as he was gasping for air from his exhausted body. Currently, he was facing an opponent of legend, a member of Lucifer's peerage. Naruto's opponent was Beowulf, the descendant of the legendary Beowulf, who looked in his mid-20s with brown hair. Standing outside the training ground, Lord and Lady Gremery watched with fascination while standing next to them was Surzex and Graphia. The reason on why he was sparring with Beowulf was because of a bet he made with Surzex. The bet was that if he wins, he'll be Graphia's servant for the week, while if he loses, he'll be a Surzex servant for the week. The only reason he did this was because of Surzex doting over Rias lately, where she wanted some privacy right now because she wanted to work with the boy she had rescued recently, a boy that he hasn't yet met with. Seeing that Rias wanted to have some time to herself, he made a bet with Surzex to keep him occupied. If Naruto lose, he'd be his servant for the week, so he'll be able to keep an eye on Surzex, so to be Rias' early alert system so she can avoid him. If he won, Surzex would be Graphia's servant/slave, where she'll be able to keep him busy with any work she has in mind. Naturally, Rias asked on why Naruto made such a bet, since he'll most likely lose, since Beowulf is one of the 5 top pawns in the underworld. Naruto simply answered, "It's because I want to give you some freedom from you, brother." Hearing that Naruto was going that far so she can have some peace from her brother's doting, she smiled at it, since he was willing to be a short-term slave for her. The bet would be if he can make a solid blow at Beowulf's face, who happened to be with them as well. Needless to say, the bet was intriguing, where he agreed. Although Graphia made a point of argument about it, inside however she actually hoped that Naruto can succeed, where she'll be in control of Surzex for the week, and not just be in charge over him in their home. Although she wore the pants in the marriage, this would be more privately, since Surzex would have to do things around their home when he wasn't doing his Satan duties. The spar has lasted for 30 minutes, where Naruto was just barely standing on his own 2 feet. So far that spar has been one-sided, since Naruto was using everything he had. Beowulf had hardly put on a sweat, since he hasn't really been serious, and has only dealt blows strong enough to just knock Naruto out, but was surprised to see how much punishment Naruto could take. Breathing hard, Naruto decided to play his final trump card. "Alright, time to put my training for the last 2 years in play. This is my newest technique," he stated. Naruto Shippuden OSD, Emergence of Talents. Holding his right hand out while standing in battle stance, he gathered his energy into the palm of his open hand. As he did, he concentrated clearly as a large amount of magical energy began to form into the palm of his hand. After taking a moment, the magical energy formed into an energy ball that is constantly rotating faster and stronger. At the sidelines, everyone was really looking with an intrigued expressions. Rias and the girls wondered on what the technique Naruto created is. With the adults, they can see that the technique was indeed truly amazing. The magical energy that Naruto gathered was the magical energy that was the complete basics for all magical techniques. The reason it was amazing to them was because of the fact that Naruto has yet to change it to an element, since all magic, either demonic, yokai, or any type of being, there has to be an element. Angels use the element of light like devils use the element in darkness while using other elements with their power, such as Graphia using ice magic, or the angel Uriel with his holy flames. However, Naruto was using the basis of all magic, which was the intriguing part. Seeing his attack, they thought it looked like a miniature maelstrom, which fitted Naruto perfectly since it matched his name to a T. And OSD. Once he was ready, Naruto prepared himself, as he was only to get one shot at this. Beowulf also prepared himself, where Naruto and he faced each other like the cowboys in the old Western movie films. After a moment of intense waiting, Naruto and Beowulf ran towards each other, with Naruto having his attack ready. Using Shundo, Naruto zigzagged on the field, where Beowulf saw that the blonde Phenex was trying to confuse him again, where he intended to try and perform a last-second change to attack him from behind or his sides like he has been doing. Beowulf knew that it was the only chance Naruto has in order to actually landing a blow at his face. As he reached with Shundo, Naruto aimed for Beowulf's left, which his opponent threw a left hook to force him away while still maintaining his balance to quickly avoid any counterattack. It was there that Naruto did something that surprised everyone. Avoiding the punch at the last possible second by swiftly rotating his body while charging up his void Shundo to quickly move around him. Beowulf sensed Naruto's power charging at his feet, where he gathered his senses at the possible place Naruto was going to swiftly sprint to. He didn't notice that Naruto's eyes weren't focused on Beowulf's blind spot, but at his arm. It was here that Naruto thrust his arm with his attack directly at Beowulf's forearm. The power of Naruto's attack, along with adding the momentum of Beowulf's attack, forced the punch to change from a straight to a hook, where it continued on, making a direct punch at Beowulf's face, directly at his nose. Naruto Shippuden OSD Gekiha. Everyone looked in complete silence and shock at what just happened. The girls were completely open-mouthed, except Kaneko, who still kept her usual momentum face but had her eyes widen, as the shock at what they just saw. Lord and Lady Gremory were surprised to say the least, while Graphia had her eyes at the scene in front of her. Surzex just looked with an intrigued look with widened eyes as he kept silent. Falling on his back, Naruto looked back to see that Beowulf's fist hit his face, where a bit of blood came down from his nose. "I knew that would work," the young blonde happily announced. As everyone wondered on what he meant, Naruto struggled to stand back up, where he looked content at what his actions just proved. Figuring their curiosity, Naruto explained on what he was aiming for. I knew if I just continued to try and hit Beowulf blind spot, he'll drop his guard for me to deliver the blow to his face. It was there that everyone got what he meant. Naruto purposely tried to hit Beowulf from his blind spot since everyone knows that would be the only way to get him if they weren't seasoned fighters like Surzex or Grafia. But that was just a diversion for his real plan. Getting Beowulf to believe that hitting him from behind, he fully expect for it to happen where he had his guard up at that moment. It was even more believable since Naruto prepared to jump for the other side since they sensed his magical energy powering up in his feet. Taking the moment where he had a clear line of sight at Beowulf's left punch, Naruto thrust his attack at his arm where the end result came to be. And with that I win the bet since sometimes to beat an opponent is to sometimes use their own power against them, Naruto said where he looked at Surzex. Realizing at what Naruto looked at, Surzex knew that he was now, for the weak, Grafia's servant/slave. With it, it was Naruto's victory. Rias ran up to Naruto where she hugged him on how excellent his strategy was since he performed several strategies that she would later use for her own peerage. Akino, Kuroka, and Shizuka also hugged him in congratulation while Kaneko gave him a thumbs up. And OST. Lord and Lady Gremory also congratulated him on well-fought spar and could see that choosing Naruto as Rias' fiancé was indeed a good and wise choice. With the congratulation over, Naruto looked at Surzex and Grafia with a sly look on his face. So, how will you dress Surzex up, Grafia-san? Are you planning on letting him wear a butler's uniform? Or are you going to give him one of your maid outfits? Naruto chuckled at the thought of Surzex wearing one of Grafia's clothing. Everyone chuckled at it where Surzex thought out loud that he'll probably be given some light chorus for him to do. It was then that everyone heard the silver hair maid clearing her voice to get everyone's attention. This is a list of chorus that must be done by the end of the week, Surzex-sama. Grafia explained as she handed him a long list of chorus and duties where Surzex looked stunned/surprised since the list dropped to floor. Your butler uniform will be on your bed tomorrow morning. Work hard, Lord Surzex, as I'll be expecting everything you have done. If incorrect, I will have to punish you later on. She finished explaining where she turned around to prepare for Surzex's work clothes. Surzex looked speechless where he asked Grafia if she was joking or something, while the family looked at the scene. Beowulf apologized to Surzex where he volunteered to help his king out with the chorus. As the situation continued to go on, Naruto looked at Rias where he asked her if he can talk to her alone about something. Rias led Naruto to an open patio in the garden where she wondered on what he wanted to talk to her about. Standing in the center, Naruto looked at Rias before he reached for something in his pocket. He pulled out a green crystal gem with a thread to act as the necklace. Rias looked at the gem which she admitted to herself that it looked lovely. Rias, I hope you accept this since this is a gem I found while I was training in my territory a while back. Of course it was a lot more, as twice the size of my fist. I used my wind magic to precisely cut several pieces out where I sculpted them into gems pieces for rings for Shizuka, Kuroka, Kaneko, Akino, and Sona. But I made this necklace specifically for you. I hope you like it, Naruto said as he nervously gave it to her. Rias blushed at seeing that Naruto had specifically made this necklace just for her. Although she was a little ticked off on knowing that Naruto made rings for every one of their female friends/peerage members, she happily accepted it where she asked Naruto to place it around her neck. Checking out the necklace around her neck, she looked back at Naruto. So, Naruto-kun, why are you giving me this now? Is there something going on? Rias asked since she was curious on why Naruto would give her a necklace like this. Naruto looked a bit hesitant where he moved away from her as he looked out at the garden of flowers. He breathed deeply and sighed calmly. I'll be leaving the underworld soon, he casually said out loud. Rias looked dumbfounded. Alright then, how about I go with you since I'm sure everyone would enjoy going somewhere fun, she said as she tried to figure out on where they could go together, along with Serorg and such. However, Naruto looked at Rias with a serious look on his face. Rias, I'm not planning on leaving the underworld for a day or so. I'm leaving the underworld for a while in order to train and to look for my peerage members, he stated as he looked at Rias with a determined look. Rias' face changed into a depressing one as she walked to him. She wanted to speak to him about it, but Naruto stopped her from talking as he grasped at her hands. Rias, I know that you want me and everyone around. But in order for me to reach my dream, I have to move forward. Even if I have to leave all my friends and family for some time, then I'll do it, Naruto said. Rias directly looked at his eyes to see that Naruto's looked both determined and saddened at the fact that he was leaving. She guessed that Naruto really didn't want to go, but he wants to move forward and get stronger. Rias looked to her eye as she said to him, if you are leaving then make me a promise. Promise? Naruto replied. Promise me that you'll come back to me? Alright? Rias asked. I promise to come back in the spring of your senior year of high school. If that's alright with you, Rias? He asked the redhead girl. Looking upset, Rias looked at him where she said, Okay, if you promise to come back around that time, then I'll be waiting for you. She answered, but Naruto could see that she didn't want him to go. Before he could say anything, Rias walked up to him and kissed his cheek where he blushed a bit from the gesture that she gave him. End flashback. It was month later that Naruto left the underworld, taking Kuroka and Shizuka with him, secretly leaving where he explained to his parents in a letter on why he left. But of course, it was during that month that Naruto's reputation in the underworld has increased drastically. The spar that happened between him and Beowulf was really something, since Lord and Lady Gremory explained to not only the Phenex family, but also other families from the remaining 34 pillars. Hearing that Naruto, the Phoenix's family's child with none of the immortality or flames, was able to injure Beowulf, Surzek's Lucifer's pawn, was considered to be a real achievement, especially for a 13-year-old. Of course, the bet he and Surzek made was kept secret because of imaginary. Right now, it's been a month since the beginning of the spring term of her final year as a senior in Ko Academy, and a lot has happened during that time. A few weeks ago, she had resurrected 2 new members to her peerage. The first was a young second-year student named Haida Issei, her one and only pawn. He was a 17-year-old with brown hair and light brown eyes. He was also the new wielder of one of the 13 legendary Longinus, the sacred gear-boosted gear. And finally, her final bishop piece, the newest arrival to Ko, Asia Argento. She was a 15 to 16-year-old girl who was transferred into Ko Academy as a second-year student, who is in the same class as Issei. Asia has green eyes and long blonde hair that flows all the way down to her back, with split bangs over her forehead and a single strand sticking out from the top, sloping backwards. Asia was also the wielder of the sacred gear Twilight Healing, a powerful item that heals any type of injury. Along with getting her new peerage members up on devil activities, she had also, during that time, been waiting patiently for Naruto to appear again. Hoping to see Naruto waiting outside of the academy with his usual grin for her to come out. As she thought about it, Akino, who was walking with her, noticed on how Rias was acting in front of her, where she saw her place her hand on her chest that held the crystal gem necklace that Naruto gave her years ago. Akino, unconsciously, touched her left hand on a ring that was made out of the same crystal gem substance that Naruto had given both her and Rias. Akino knew Rias' feelings for the flameless phoenix since she also had them as well, especially since he knew her secret about her parentage hood, and yet he didn't care about it. Both the new members of Rias' peerage were in incidents that involved in being killed by fallen angels, but with Rias and her peerage help, they were not only able to be resurrected as devils but are now living a life that most people could only imagine. Asia was set up so that now she was living with Issei, who was happy to look after the young girl. Her thoughts about her newest family/peerage members ended when she heard the class bell ringing, alerting her that class was about to start. She shook the thoughts out of her head for now since she needed to focus on her problem that will be arriving later today. Rias has planned to skip her remaining classes after lunch to wait in the ORC room because today is the day she'll be meeting with her annoying fiancé. 2 weeks later. In the mountain terrains just north of the town of Cherdin, located on the Kalva River of Russia, a certain group were both enjoying the majestic sights of the land as well as finishing up a training exercise that a certain blonde has set up. As the snow gently fell from the sky, several large explosions that were loud but wouldn't get anyone's attention was made, disturbing the peace of the land. Once the explosions had settled in the middle 5-meter crater, stood a young man. The young man was around his late teens to early 20s who was 5 feet 10 inches. He had blue sapphire eyes and wild spiky blonde hair, jaw-length bangs framing his face. Despite the freezing environment, he's wearing a short-sleeved black shirt under a blue Wrangler jacket, baggy blue jeans, and steel-toe shoes. In his right hand he held a sword that looked well-crafted that had a blue gem just above the handle. Yu-Gi-Oh card, Noble Arms, Excalibur. Outside of the crater stood 2 people as his opponents. The first was a beautiful young woman in her late teens, 18 or 19, around 5 feet 8 inches foot, who has vanilla blonde hair that is generally put up in a bun and violet eyes. She had a particularly large bust, and has quite a defining curved body that was highlighted by her appearance in her armor with a fencing sword. Bust 95, waist 60, hip 83. Wiki/file, Sylvia_Van_. The second was a young 16-year-old, 5 feet 4 inches foot tall boy with short chestnut hair and large amber eyes. He wore green Chinese sorcery robes with white kung fu pants and black rubber-soled kung fu shoes. In his hands he held a Chinese jian sword. Taking a moment, the blonde boy walked out of the crater that the 2 swordsmen have created in their attack, where he looked impressed. You two did a pretty well combination attack. If I didn't use my technique, that would have hit me, said the blonde. I thought we had you in that four-way diversion that Sylvia set up for me to deliver the final blow, said the frustrated chestnut-haired boy. Well, sorry to disappoint you, Lee, but you forgot to count on the fact that I was able to use my technique in that way to avoid the hit. But I must say, you were really impressive there, Sylvia. I was surprised that you were able to create 4 after images in the same time like that while using your sword for 5 slashes attacks, said the blonde. Thank you, Naruto-sama. However, that is a move that I prefer not to use unless I have no choice, since the precision, speed, and strength needed for me to execute it takes a lot of concentration and stamina, Sylvia remarked between breaths while holding on to her rapier sword. Naruto Phenex was here in Russia, training with his peerage to be ready to meet his family, since after this week, he'll be returning back home to the underworld with his peerage. Right now, Naruto was training with his 2 knights in order to improve not only their speed but also their defense and magical assault. While Naruto is with his knights, most of his peerage were doing their own personal training around the terrain. Just as they were about to continue with their conversation, the sudden sound of explosion and falling debris had been heard around them. Deciding to take a look, Naruto and his knights head their way to the sounds. Reaching another open area, the 3 people witness a sudden explosion that caused the snow around it to spread throughout the area where it covered them. Out of the explosion, one stood near the exploded area while the second was now on top of one of the few boulders nearby with his arms crossed. The one standing nearby the now-made crater was a teenage boy standing over 6 feet 5 inches tall with dark skin. He is from Mexican descent with pronounced cheekbones and has wavy brown hair with bangs that generally hangs over his brown eyes. He is muscular while appear to be a bit older than he really is. He is currently wearing a baggy gray jeans with a short-sleeved shirt under a coat and steel-tip boots because of the snow. The second was another teenage boy standing at 5 feet 7 inches tall. He wore a simple white training shirt, black sweatpants and sneakers. The most intriguing features about this boy was his unnatural canine-like features, including dog ears, hair, and sharp fangs. He has spiky, long brown hair that goes down to his mid-spine, tied up in a ponytail fashion with the rest of his hair being very spiked and a distinct fringe forming at his forehead with 2 visible bangs at the sides of his face. Before anything else happened, a couple of slice sounds were heard, causing the canine-look boy to jump away since the boulder he was standing on was sliced diagonally down. Along with the slice, a crying sound was heard when someone else came flying down and landed clumsily in front of the group, covering themselves into the snow. After a moment or two, the person stood up to reveal that it was a blonde teenage girl that was covered in snow, and a few debris stood up, allowing the snow and debris to fall from them, but still had a bit of small snow patches on their head and shoulders. Mao Yuzum-chan, your veil attack is impossible to beat, whined the young girl while trying to keep herself warm as she pouted at her opponent, who gracefully walked out into the opening to reveal a young brunette woman. Hey, don't whine at me. You said that you wanted me to fight you with everything I got, and I did. You're the one who couldn't handle being around the snow, especially in the outfit you're wearing, Hakufu, said the young brunette. The blonde-haired girl was a young beautiful 18-year-old blonde with ample cleavage and green eyes. She has long, flowing strawberry blonde hair that goes down all the way to her back, which also covers her ears. Her hair bangs also cover most of the middle of her forehead. 2 strands of hair also stick out on the top of her head. She wore a simple short-sleeved loose shirt with black tights. The brunette girl was a young well-endowed woman in her late teens with long, dark brown hair and eyes, and a well-developed body figure. She is wearing a pure white silk, perfectly covering her private parts and limbs. She also had a long white veil that was 4 times longer than her body. Like you're one to talk, how come you're not shivering like I am? Hakufu stuttered out as she shivered from the chilling area before looking around her to see that everyone else is the same thing. Same with you guys, why do you guys act like you're not cold? Asked with her teeth chattering. It's because of our magic, Hakufu. Didn't you listen to Naruto-kun when he explained on how to use your magic in creating a magical coat to protect us from the cold? Questioned the veiled girl. Hakufu thought for a moment before she blushed in embarrassment, unspoken out her answer to Yuzum. Man, aren't you acting stupid? Yuzum commented, where Hakufu quickly shouted back at her. Hey, you're the stupid one. Those who call others stupid are the real stupid ones. Argued back. Before things could be said, they had a clapping sound to see that Naruto and everyone else was there. Alright girls, as much fun as seeing you guys barking at each other's throats. What do you say we call it a day, since we need to get ready for our trip? After next week, I'll be back home, while also be introducing all of you to my family. Naruto commented. Everyone nodded, which a few didn't like it since they know what's going to happen. Naruto explained to them that becoming members to his peerage, They'll be forced to study the history of the underworld, along with the history of their king's family history. Luckily, Naruto had already taught them the basics, but the thing that they mostly dread about was the fact that they'll be all given etiquette lessons for those who don't know proper manners. Just as they were about to go back to their temporary home, a magical teleportation circle with the phoenix crest appeared where a young woman with a voluptuous figure and long black hair suddenly appeared. The person is Kuroka, Naruto's bishop. In the past 8 years, Kuroka has grown from a young teen girl to a beautiful woman where Naruto sometimes couldn't help but not look at her with thoughts of lust and such sometimes. She still wore the same type of kimono except it was altered more to fit her figure. The biggest change was her large breasts, which she shows off from her kimono opening up from her shoulders. Seeing appear in front of them, the Mexican person was the first to speak up. "Kuroka, what wrong? Did anything happen?" said the tall man. Kuroka nodded her head as she made her way to Naruto. "Naruto-kun, there's something I need to tell you. It's something that Shizu just found out from one of our contacts," Kuroka stated where Naruto leaned his ear to her. Whispering to him the information she just found out herself, Naruto's reaction changed from concern, to confusion, to finally, rage. Once he heard it, Naruto looked at Kuroka with a determined look in his eyes. "When is this going to happen?" Naruto asked his beautiful bishop. "It's going to commence tomorrow night?" Kuroka answered. Hearing this, Naruto told his group that he'll be right back where he walked away from his peerage. Everyone waited for 5 minutes before they both heard and felt a sudden explosion happen just where Naruto was. Everyone ran to it where they spotted Naruto in the middle of the field as debris and destroyed trees scattered throughout the area. Taking a couple of deep breaths, Naruto turned to his peerage. "Alright then, get ready. You guys helped Shizuka-chan and Yuko-chan in getting everything ready since tomorrow we're going to the underworld. It's time that I go back home and settle the issue with my brother," Naruto stated. Everyone can see that he was furious. They wondered on what got him so pissed off where Kuroka explained that she and Shizuka will tell them later. But now, they need to get ready. As they all head back, Naruto looked at the area for a moment before using his power to seize the few flames that appeared after his explosive power-up. Once he was done, he left, never knowing that he left one single small flame that still continued to burn. The flame itself would extinguish itself in a little bit, but the interesting thing is the flame itself. The flame had traits of darkness and light that seemed to both balance and chaotic at the same time. Underworld. Several high-class families, mostly lords and their wives, gathering together for a celebration event. In the Phenex Castle, many servants are moving around serving the lords and ladies of the remaining 72 pillars. As the high-class devils gathered together in the banquet room where the festivities are taking place, the people that already arrived started to chat with each other. In a private dressing room is the soon-prepared bride-to-be. Alone in a room, Ria sat in front of a mirror disc as she looked at herself. Rias mentally agreed with herself that the wedding dress fitted her perfectly and showed off her well-toned body, highlighting her beauty even more. However, her facial expression shows that the crimson hair princess wasn't happy in the fact on who she was going to be wearing it for. Flashback. In the occult research building, Ria's face was both annoyed and frustrated while crossing her arms under her large bust as she stood her ground at the sight in front of her. Standing behind her was, currently, her entire peerage as she looked at the person that was making their king look angry. In front of Ria stood her fiancé, Riser Phenex. Riser Phenex is a tall 5 feet 11 inches, handsome young man in his early 20s with short blonde hair and dark blue eyes. He's wearing a burgundy blazer with gold embroidery on the right with matching pants and black dress shoes. Underneath his open blazer is a white dress shirt that is not fully buttoned, giving a slight view to his chest. Even though Riser has changed physically over the years, his mentality is still the same arrogant, aggressive playboy with holier-than-thou personality who condescending towards lower-class devils. The reason why Riser was here in Ku Academy was to take Rias back to the underworld to prepare for their wedding, which he looked forward to. Her peerage, besides Akino, were surprised to hear about the fact that Rias was engaged to marry him but learned that it was an arranged marriage, against her will. "Rias, how about we go and check out the place that is being prepared for our wedding? We should see how the setting is being turned out," Riser suggested to the redhead Gremory. "Riser, I have already told you already that I'm not going to marry you. Do you understand that?" Rias furiously stated at him. Now Rias. You say that like you have a choice," Riser said with an amused tone of voice. "We both know there isn't much you can do. Both our families have already decided on this, and the contracts has been rewritten. Don't forget that your family has been just as hasty to unite our 2 houses as mine," he completely stated to her. "Don't speak so presumptuously as the heir of the Gremory family," I'm the only one who will decide it on who I'll be marrying to. Regardless, if it wasn't for what our families did, then I would happily marry into the Phenex family, Rias stated while placing her hand on her chest where her necklace piece rested. Hearing Rias say that she would gladly marry into the Phenex family if it wasn't for some changes, but wondered on what happened and why she was so angry about it now. Akino and Kaneko already knew, since Akino had her hand on her ring finger, gently touching the crystal gem ring on it, while Kaneko remembered the ring she kept in her drawer. Riser saw Rias placing her hand on her chest, which he knew why. Deciding to point it out, he looked at the female redhead. Why don't you just forget about him? Getting a surprised look from Rias, he ran away from his responsibilities, which should have been placed upon me in the first place, since I am more fitted for this occasion than he is, Riser stated. Rias angrily stared back at him. He didn't run away. Unlike you, he went to find his peerage and train hard to achieve his dream. Personally speaking, he is more worthy on being my husband than you are at being fit to be called a phoenix. Besides, he promised me that he'll come back during my spring term of my final year. And when he comes back, everything will be restored as it should be, she stated to him, where Riser narrowed his eyes at being told that he wasn't worth being called a phoenix unlike him. Restoring his poker face, he looked at the Gremry heiress with his usual confident smirk. I don't think so, since if he did promise you that, then he should be here now. Or for a matter of fact, why hasn't he come to visit you over the years? Riser questioned her. End flashback. Rias and Riser had argued with each other, where Riser even threatened on extinguishing her peerage to assure that he'll bring her back to the underworld to make her his bride. As things intensified, Graphia, who acted as the third party of this meeting, had interrupted the two. Hearing as the meeting wasn't going well, Graphia announced a rating game to settle the issue. Rias accepted it since it would give her a chance to free herself from the arranged marriage, but knew if she lost, she would be forced to marry Riser right away. Hearing Rias accepting the rating game challenge, Riser summoned his own peerage, a total of 15 pieces, all women. It was around this time that he riled up Issei, Rias' newest and only pawn, where he flirted and made out with his queen. Once everything was set, Riser allowed Rias 2 weeks to train her peerage, where they trained very hard. Unfortunately, though through lack of battle experience and such, Rias had lost her first game and freedom, where she was now in this situation. As she looked at herself, she brought her hand to her chest again, where she held her crystal gem necklace, as she recalled not only her best male friend, but also the one that she'd fallen in love with. She remembered when he told her that he was leaving, which she was sad about it. It made her heart ache, since she already had a crush on him, since he always cheered her up, always treated her as a friend, cared about her and her wishes and dreams. Unlike other devils, Naruto was the only one that only ever called her Rias, nothing more, nothing less. Plainly calling her Rias just meant that he only viewed her as herself. Naruto was also someone who didn't care about titles and such, where he even called and talked to the Satans, mostly Surzex, in a friendly manner or gesture in front of high-class devils, or simply calling him idiot or something as a nickname, showing that he doesn't fear status but didn't care about it either. Her trip down memory lane ended when she heard that she was being summoned now, where her parents are waiting for her. Slowly getting up, she started to head out, where each step she took knew that her life was close to being stolen from her. Phenex Castle. In the banquet room, many devils waited for the party to truly begin. Among the crowd was Rias' own peerage, Akino, and everyone else from the ORC. As they waited, their faces carried a frown, since they weren't in the mood. The reason they had a depressing mood was because their king, Rias, is now being forced to marry Riser Phenex. Out of all of them, Issei was the one that felt the most depressed and frustrated, since he was the last one to help Rias win, but he was taken out by Riser. Issei fought well with a struggle against Riser's peerage, but when he faced against Riser, it was where he met his match. Issei had tried to use his boosted gear to fight against Riser, but he had used the dragon's power that was inside his sacred gear, too much so his body was spent. Riser proceeded to beat him into a bloody pulp, where the fist fight forced Rias to quit, since Riser wanted to make Issei both an example and his power by killing through his injuries. Once the rating game has ended, Rias was taken by both her and the Phenex family to get her ready for the wedding. Her peerage was taken to a special recovery room, where they got treated for their injuries. Having recovered, all of them were soon fitted for the engagement party, where it will lead to the wedding immediately. Both Issei and Kiba were wearing tuxedos, while Asia and Kaneko were wearing string dresses that reached above their knees, and Akino wearing a kimono. Their thoughts about the rating game and Rias' engagement ceremony stopped when they heard a familiar voice comforting them. You all did pretty well in your fight against Riser. They turned to see a young bespectacled woman in her late teens with a slim figure. She had a black, short bob-cut hairstyle and violet eyes. She wore an elegant string dress short that went down to her knees. This was Sona Citri, the heiress of the Citri family of one of the 72 pillars of the Devil's Society. Next to her was another young bespectacled woman with long straight black hair that extends all the way down to her knees with split bangs and heterochromic eyes, violet left eye and a light brown right eye. She was also wearing an elegant string dress, but hers is light blue while Sona is violet. Getting their attention, Sona continued on with her opinion. If Rias had another piece or two, she might have one. Sona said. Yeah, but it doesn't help us now. Rias is about to be forced to go through this now, Issei stated. Everyone was about to continue before they heard the voice of the person that they detested now. Ladies and gentlemen, I welcome you to this exquisite moment. The moment where I, Riser Phenex, and Rias Gremory have vowed to marry each other, Riser said with a stoic voice. The guests applauded the young man about his engagement, since Rias Gremory was indeed a fine woman to marry with. As the people continued to applaud the young man, many talk about the rating game where some of Riser's peerage commented that Riser knew that he was going to win, where Riser also noted the same thing. Look at him, he doesn't see on how close of a match it was, Kiba remarked. True, but right now this is going to be an annoyance from this point, Sona suggested. Growling a bit, Issei outburst to his group, how can we just sit here and do nothing? Let's try and do something to prevent this, he suggested, but Sona shook her head in disapproving. Unfortunately, there isn't anything else you can do. It's a shame really, since I know that Rias wouldn't mind being part of the Phenex family, but not like this, Sona said. Anna, what do you mean? I thought Rias detested on being part of the Phenex family? Asia asked out in confusion. It's not that she detests the Phenex family. It's just that it's the wrong person, Aquino said. Issei, Asia, and Kiba were curious about it. Aquino explained that after Rias had met with Kiba, around the same time someone else left. That person was not only Rias' true fiancé but also her best friend and true crush. That person is Naruto Phenex, the youngest son of the Phenex family. They were so surprised to know that Rias was in love with someone already. They also learned that Naruto had left the underworld nearly 8 years ago for his own training and searching for his peerage, which his parents doesn't know on where he is since he left in secret. I can't believe that Bucho is in love with someone already, Issei muttered as he had tears run down his eyes, knowing that Rias's heart already belonged to another. The proof about their feelings for each other is around her neck, Aquino said. Aquino described that Naruto had given Rias a beautiful pendant that he made by using his own powers. They know on what pendant that Aquino was talking, since every one of them saw her hold a crystal gem pendant while she sat behind her desk sometimes. Aquino and Sona also showed them that they also had something similar, crystal gem rings that they both wore since they were good friends with him. Well, Sona viewed it that way, but Aquino had a small blush as she viewed her ring. Even Kaneko stated that she had one but never worn it since she outgrew the ring finger but kept it safe. Before anything else could be said, they all heard Riser's voice getting their attention. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome my bride-to-be and future mother of my children, Rias Gremory, he announced. In a crimson magical circle that appeared next to him, Rias magically appeared from the teleportation wearing the white wedding dress that she was given while still wearing her crystal gem pendant. Riser gently took Rias's hand where he guided her towards both their parents. The crowd dispersed, giving the two a pathway to their destination. As they walked, Rias kept her head down, not wanting to see her parents. Reaching them, Riser and Rias bowed a bit before he turned to Rias. Now then, my love, let us enjoy our moment together, since after tonight we'll be as one. Since you are now my wife, forget about your worries and enjoy the moment. That also means it's time to get rid of that pendant, Riser said, where he saw her looking at the pendant that his younger brother had given to her. Rias looked objective where she was going to voice out her thoughts, but Riser simply took hold of the pendant, tugged the strap where it broke, and tossed the pendant aside. Rias just looked stunned, since it signaled to her that it was over. Her life, her future, her dreams were now over. Just before they were going to move forward to the wedding ceremony, the large double, wooden, doors that was both the entrance and exit to the banquet suddenly exploded with tremendous force that it broke the hinges, causing the doors to fall onto the floor. Everyone's attention and guard were now at the explosive entryway, wondering on what was going on. Riser was the first to step forward. Who dares defy this momentous ceremony? With a growl of anger in his voice. Following closely by his peerage, where they were ready to assist their king. But before the dust could even settle, a sudden burst of power came out of nowhere where it hit Riser straightly at his face, sent him flying back, sliding on the ground in an unceremonial fashion. The Phenex guards came to the entryway where they shouted to the intruder to stand down. It was only when they finished ordering the intruder to surrender that everyone heard a strong voice from out of the dust cloud. How about I order you to stand down since I have a few things to discuss with my brother? Said the intruder with a snarl at the end. It was only after hearing that, people looked confusedly as they heard the calm yet loud footsteps making their way into the banquet hall. It was only when he stepped into the light that everyone can now see on who it was, wearing casual street clothes, walking forward. Walking calmly, an intense aura, that affected the lower high-class devils, was let out every time he took a step closer to the center stage while still having his eyes glaring at Riser, who got back up. As everyone still had a look of confusion, looking closely at the young man's appearance, Lord and Lady Phenex just gained a stunned look at who it was walking towards them. Riser and Ravel looked confused while Rias couldn't help but let out tears of disbelief since she couldn't believe that he came back now. Once he made it 5 meters away in the front of the stage, he looked at both the Gremory and Phenex families. Hello mother, hello father, I, Naruto Phenex, has returned. Naruto simply stated with a monotone look. Hearing the introduction to himself in front of his family, this got all the high-class devils to spontaneously chat among themselves, seeing that the runaway son of the Phenex family has returned. While the guests chatted, both the Gremory and Phenex family take a good look at him. Really observing on Naruto's physique, they can tell that he has completely changed from the little boy that they once knew him. The one thing that hasn't changed was his eyes, still focused and determined. Once the dramatic entrance ended, the only person to actually move was Rias, who slowly moved her legs, take a small step before finally just lifting the front of her dress where she just sprinted to him where she jumped on him, wrapping her arms around his neck as she cried out. Naruto-kun, you're finally back, I missed you, Rias stuttered out as her tears fell from her eyes as she was both happy and relieved knowing that Naruto was here in front of her, not in her dreams or imagination. Sorry if it took me so long to come back to you. But I'm here now and that's what it matters, so relax. I'll first settle things here before we can continue with our reunion, Naruto said where he gently removed Rias from him as he moved forward with Rias by his side. Calmly moving forward, Naruto swiftly and mysteriously removed his Wrangler jacket and turned it into a cape as it hung on his shoulders, revealing his bandaged forearms. Walking closer to his destination, he sensed that Rias was walking alongside him where he lifted his hand in front of her to signal her that he wanted to handle this himself. Rias was about to object but saw the look in his eyes saying that this wasn't a request as he only had eyes on facing his brother by himself. Yami Yugi jacket wear. Stepping onto the platform, he now stood face to face in front of Riser, who also looked enraged considering that the two brothers were narrowing their eyes to each other. Everyone stayed silent as the two siblings looked at each other. Naruto was the first to break the silence. Hello brother, it's been a while. Plainly stated. Yes, it has, and fortunately you've returned in a very joyous occasion, at mine and Rias' marriage ceremony, Riser stated with a grin. Oh really, then my sudden return has been perfectly timed since I came in the right time, smiled Naruto, as he closed his eyes before opening them again with a serious look, so I can stop it from happening, he stated with a deep and commanding voice where Riser scowled at him. Both boys looked like they were about to fight each other but relaxed a bit when their father spoke up. Naruto, my son, it's good to see you've returned home after being away for so long, Lord Phenex said with his mother tearfully smiling at her youngest son's return. It's good to see you too, father, mother, and it's even good to see you too, Lord and Lady Gremory, although I'm having a bit of mixed feeling right now, considering on what you two are doing to both me and Rias, Naruto admitted without taking his eyes off Riser. Both his and Rias' parents looked a bit ashamed considering that Naruto was talking about the change about him and Rias getting married to Riser and Rias getting married. Before anything could be said by the parents, Riser spoke for them. It's actually a good thing that they changed Rias' fiancé. After all, the contract did say that the youngest son of the Phenex family would marry the Gremory heiress. Since you don't have any of the Phenex family's abilities, you don't actually qualify since unlike you I'm a true Phenex who wields the great power, he simply stated. Oh, and what makes you think that you're a true Phenex? After all, the Phenex of legend, whose powers greatly surpass our family's, is said to have a soul of fire that can't be burned out. And although I may not have the same abilities as the family have, I do have the soul, which is something that you don't have, Naruto remarked with a grin since he insulted Riser about being a Phenex. Before things could escalate even further, they all heard a very familiar voice coming towards the two. Oh dear, it looks like we have quite the predicament at hand. The two brothers turned to see Sirzex Lucifer walking up to them with Graphia walking closely by his side. Lord Lucifer, Riser politely greeted, bowing his head lightly. Yo Sirzes, Naruto casually greeted with a lazy wave. My, Naruto-kun, it's good to see you again. I can see that the years have been good to you, you've changed impressively, Sirzex cheerfully commented. But I can see that we have a bit of a situation right now, Surzex stated, which the two brothers just narrowed their eyes at each other. Yes, it seems that my foolish younger brother doesn't know his place and is trying to stop mine and Rias's wedding, Riser commented. A wedding that was originally supposed to be me and her. It was only just recently that I found out about this, where both of our parents didn't even wait for me to return to the underworld to make such a decision, Naruto stated. Surzex sighed since he told his parents, Lord and Lady Gremory, about making this decision without talking about it with the two parties, namely Rias and Naruto. Of course, it didn't help that half the party, Naruto, went missing for nearly a decade, making Lord and Lady Phenex believe that Naruto was dead and such. Thinking about it, Surzex coughed into his hand to clear his throat a bit, as well as getting their attention. Well, with the lack of communication and other variables that occurred over the years, I believe I have a proper solution for this, Surzex simply stated. Before Surzex could say anything, Riser politely interrupted the Devil King. By all pardons, my lord, why are we even discussing about this now? Since my brother left, a new engagement contract was formed stating that I would marry your younger sister, so that should be the end of it since the old contract is destroyed, Riser pointed out. You mean this one? Surzex responded as he pulled out the old contract from out of his uniform. Riser and their families looked dumbfounded on what Surzex pulled out. Surzex explained that he had Graphia, under his orders, make a copy of the original where he kept the original, while everyone else destroyed the copy one. I figured that Naruto-kun would want to voice out his concern, but knew that the new contract might cause some problems for him to object the situation. So I kept the old one just in case Naruto returned back home before Riser and Rias could get married, Surzex simply stated with a smile. Everyone looked surprised on how Surzex read ahead of everyone, where he then got their attention as he continued on from what he originally wanted to say before Riser interrupted him. Alright, as I was saying before, I have a solution to this problem. A rating game, a single one-on-one duel between Naruto versus Riser. Of course, if Naruto has a peerage like Riser, then it would be Naruto and his peerage versus Riser with his peerage, Surzex commented. Naruto and Riser looked at each other, where Riser grinned at his younger brother. I accept those terms, Lucifer-sama. I would defeat my little brother and show him what a true Phenex can do, as well as putting him in his place, Riser overconfidently stated. I have a peerage, and trust me, when I and my friends get done, you'll know what kind of Phenex that I am, Naruto responded seriously, where the two glared at each other. Well, then it's settled. I give you half an hour before you and your peerages begin your match together, Surzex announced, where Naruto and Riser stepped back to prepare. Before walking away, Naruto turned to Surzex and Riser as he said one thing to them. Before we begin, the only request that I want in this game is that if I win, both of our contracts to marry Rias is null and void, where she can choose who she should marry, he simply stated. Oh, why would you want that, Naruto-kun? Don't you want to be with my sister? Surzex wondered, as everyone was curious about it as well. It's simple, really, he started to say as he turned his gaze towards the crimson hair princess in front of him. The only tears a man should give a woman should be tears of joy, not of pain. I gave Rias tears of pain, so I don't have the right to marry her, simply stated. Hearing Naruto considering her feelings, Rias couldn't help but blush at how Naruto was thinking about her so much that he would null and void their own engagement contract so she can have her freedom. As Naruto was walking away, he didn't respond to his mother and father's calls since he was more focused on one thing. While walking away, he spotted something sparkling, where he went and picked it up. 30 minutes later, Naruto and Riser were standing in front of each other, where Riser had his peerage stand behind him. Among them, Naruto noticed Revel was also there, where he made it known. Okay, how come Revel is standing with your peerage? Did you make our little sister part of your peerage? He asked out loud. Riser nodded in confidence, where Naruto said, Why would you do that? For what purpose? Naruto cried out loud. Revel kept quiet while having a faint blush on her face. Riser just answered, strategically, Our sister is pretty good at strategy, where next to my queen, she can make plays for areas where I'm not around. It's even better since her immortality also gives her an advantage on judging other opponents' strengths, stated the older blonde, where Revel looked serious, like she was agreeing with Riser. TSK, you're right. If I know you well enough, you probably asked her because of some stupid reason, like for a fetish or something along those lines, Naruto remarked back. Ravel's face really turned red while she, along with the rest of Riser's peerage, thought he definitely hit the nail on the head, knowing that Naruto was right. Well, whatever, let's just get our rating game started, as I have a honeymoon to get to, Riser simply said as he thought about what he would do with Rias. Me too, I'm going to enjoy beating you and paying you back for all those remarks you gave in the past. It's about time we know what kind of Phenex we both really are. Naruto agreeing with his older brother. Alright then, the field has been set. I'll explain the rules of this match, Surzek said as he took the role of being a referee for this match. The rules are simple. Naruto and Riser would fight each other with their peerages in a simple all-out battle royal where to win is to simply take out Naruto or Riser regardless if there are still other pieces in the match. There will be no outside help, which includes familiars. Any type of weaponry can be used as long as it is their own and not outside source. Pawns will be limited to 2 promotions since this would be a quick match. Promotions can happen anywhere without the king's permission. Hearing that, Riser smiled since all 8 of his pawns can turn promoting to queens where he'll have 9 queens off the bat. Naruto didn't show any reaction to it since he kept a good poker face. Another reason is because he knows that Riser doesn't know on what his peerage could do. Naruto-kun, where's your peerage? Surzek asked kindly. Don't worry about them. I had asked Graphia to prepare a separate teleportation circle to transfer my peerage into the game since I like to keep them a secret until the last minute. They'll be transported automatically into the game as soon as I get there as well. Naruto simply answered. Nodding in acceptance, Surzek looked at the 2 Phenex. Alright, with all the rules and stipulations set, let the raiding game begin, he stated. The magical circle around the 2 Phenex activated and teleported the 2 into the raiding game field. Phenex Castle. Everyone sat or stand, their own preference, as they all looked through the video screens on the commencement/results of the raiding game. Sitting in one table, Rias was waiting in anticipation on how Naruto was going to fight his older brother, Riser. As the Crimson Princess pondered about it, Akino and the other members of the ORC with Sona and Tsubaki were sitting along with her, wondering on what's going to happen. I wonder on what's Naruto-kun's game plan. Things could be disadvantaged if he doesn't figure out a way to handle his older brother along with their little sister. Akino thought out loud. I don't know, but given how he's a battle prodigy it would be interesting to see, Sona reminded the Thunder Priestess. Battle prodigy? Issei wondered as Akino, Kaneko, and Sona are the only ones, besides Rias, who knew anything about Naruto. Kiba and Asia were also curious since they don't know anything about Rias' childhood crush. You see, as many of you know, Rias is considered to be a prodigy herself since she earned the nickname, Crimson Ruin Princess. However, her nickname title doesn't mean much since comparing to Naruto's skill set, he was far stronger than Rias was back when they were children, Akino stated. Naruto-san is considered a true prodigy since even though he isn't successful academically because of his lack of care for it, he is very intelligent when it came to making not only strategies before a challenge, but also on-the-fly plans when the situation changes. In fact, he even sparred with Lucifer-sama's pawn, who is one of the top 5 pawns in Devil Society. Sona added into Akino's statement. Punching Beowulf with his own fist, Kaneko monotone said. Everyone was amazed that Naruto was extremely skilled when he was a kid. Before anything could happen, Surzek announced the commencement of the raiding game where both brothers released their peerage. There goes Riser's peerage. Asia looked concerned. I only hope that Naruto-san has a good peerage with him. Kiba commented as he looked to see that on Naruto's side of the field, there was only one person, standing by his side. The person is a 5 feet 7 inches foot tall, young, beautiful buxom woman in her late teens with ridiculous curves, given her physique is mostly pronounced by her humongous breasts. She has hazel eyes and long blonde hair that extends down past her waist tied in a ponytail. Several bangs of her hair comes down into her face with 2 bangs coming down at the sides running all the way down, while also framing her face while revealing her elf ears. She is wearing a light pink, short-sleeved jacket over a tight, short-sleeve, black tank shirt that went down to her waist while revealing a good portion of her large cleavage. She also wore a white, mid-length skirt that reached her knees with great movability along with a pair of black pantyhose and a mid-calf, lace, gray boots. Suga. She has the biggest épée that I've ever seen. She's even bigger than Akino-senpai, Issei announced in amazement/disbelief as he ogled the blonde woman's body with his usual perverted look. Eki Issei-senpai, Kaneko monotone said while glaring at her senior. Era Shizuka-chan has grown up from the last time I've seen her. Rias mentioned which Akino and Sona nodded in agreement, although both Rias and Akino felt a little threatened on the fact that Shizuka's bust was bigger than their own. Shizuka? Kiba curiously asked. Shizuka-san is one of Naruto's first pieces and one of his bishops. She's the same age as Rias, Akino, Tsubaki, and I as well as a good friend, Sona explained. She's a bishop, Issei repeated when he looked at Shizuka and mentally imagined Asia. Asia is cute and adorable in her own right, Weko Academy considered her the princess of the second-year students. Shizuka, on the other hand, would be considered to be the third great lady if she is transferred into it, where he couldn't help wonder on what her breasts look and feel like. Seeing the perverted look, Asia, with a bit teary-eye, pinched Issei's elbow, getting to snap out of it while Kaneko glared at him. In any case, I'm curious on how strong she is. If I remembered correctly, she was training to become a healer. If anything, she might be like Asia-chan with her twilight healing. Akino wondered out loud. Raiding game. As Riser's peerage ran towards Naruto's position, they separated in hopes to surround them since there isn't any places to hide from. Separating in 3 groups while Yubalina took into the skies, they made their way towards the other Phenex. Group 1 was being led by Isabella, Riser's rook, which held Cirrus, Knight, Lee, Nell, and Shiria pawns. Running to cover Naruto's right side, they made it halfway before they had to stop as they come across their opponents. In front of them, 3 people stood against them. Standing in front of the opposing group was the teenage boy with the dog features. He looks the same except now he was wearing a short-sleeved gray shirt with collar and black pants. In his left arm, he wore a protective gauntlet that was strapped around his chest which covered his shoulder down, and white gladiator boots that went up to his mid-thighs. Standing next to him was the vanilla-hair blonde, wearing her usual clothing, while holding a sheath, European medieval sword. Along with them was Hakufu, but she was wearing a black Chinese dress with a red fire pattern that starts off from the waist up and her near her chest. In the middle of her dress was an opening on her chest that revealed a good portion of her cleavage. At both sides of the dress, the slits were cut all the way up until it reached near her waist, allowing a great view of her strong legs while wearing black turf martial arts shoes. Anime_Tosen/Iki_Tosen/Chinese_Dress_1600x1200_wallpaper_517. As the 2 groups stare at each other, the brunette boy just sighed at the sight in front of him. Seeing this, Hakufu simply asked her teammate, Koda-kun, what's wrong? Looking at her unenthusiastic friend. It's just that I was hoping that our first raiding game would be against a real opponent. Instead, I'm facing off against a bunch of girls. No wonder Naruto said that I shouldn't come since I won't be able to fight them, he said. What do you mean by that? Naruto said that his brother has a total of 15 pieces. That's more than enough for us to fight and test ourselves against. Hakufu simply stated. It's not that, it's just while looking at their opponents with an uninteresting eyes, that they're all girls. He plainly muttered. That's what you're upset about, Kotaro-san? You don't seem to have a problem when you fight me or any of the others? Said the vanilla-hair blonde. Well, yeah, but unlike you guys, these girls won't stand a chance against us. You guys are strong where I don't have to worry too much since you're all strong in your own right. Kotaro replied. Well, I can understand that, said the other blonde before she quickly drew her sword and blocked a Zweihander strike that would have taken the 3 out. She held the sword back with one hand as its wielder pushed hard with both of hers. It didn't last long as the blonde quickly parried the sword before giving her opponent a strong kick to her stomach to shove her back to her group. Getting their attention, Hakufu simply looked at them. Now that was rude. Can't you see we were talking over here? She said with an annoyed look on her face. This isn't the time to talk, this is the time to fight and assure that Riser-sama come out victorious, said Cirrus, the Zweihander owner. She's right, Hakufu Kotaro-san, if you wish not to fight these weaklings then so be it. But if anything, can you at least provide cover for both I and Hakufu? Requested the sword-wielding blonde. Sure, no prob, Kotaro agreed where he hopped back from the 2. Alright, now with that out of the way, Hakufu, you're ready? Said Naruto's swordsman. Yup, Hakufu gleefully replied as she got into her kung fu stance while the other blonde just held her sword up, vertically at her face. As the 2 got ready, Riser's group just glared at their opponent since one of them doesn't find it interesting on fighting them while the other 2 doesn't show much concern. Before we begin, can you tell me your names so that I at least know who my victims would be? Said the medieval sword user. Riser's group growled at that where they all them their names and evil pieces. Knowing their names, Naruto's first group announced themselves. Very well, since you kindly given your names, here's ours. My name is Sylvia Van Hosen, Naruto-sama's knight. Sylvia gracefully introduced herself. I'm Hakufu Sansaka, Naruto-chan's pawn. Hakufu confidently introduced herself. I'm Kotaro Inagami, also Naruto pawn. Kotaro simply introducing himself. With introductions done, Isabella looked at Lee, Nell, and Shiria, Alright, you three, you know what to do. All three pawns nodded where they all said unison, promotion, queen, where all three girls had changed from pawn pieces to queens. Once they changed, the twins magically summoned their chainsaws. Seeing this, Sylvia looked unimpressed as she glanced at her partner. Alright, Hakufu, your turn now. Where Hakufu nodded with a smirk. Promotion, rook. Where Hakufu became a rook piece. After waiting a bit, both groups moved against each other. Banquet room. Seeing Riser's pawns become three queens while Hakufu changed to a rook while Kotori just stood back, guests were really intrigued about it. Interesting, Surzek said where he got his family, and Lord and Lady Phenex curiosity. What do you mean, Surzek-sama? Grafia wondered. It's surprising to see that Naruto-kun's pawn became a rook instead of a queen like Riser-kun's three pawns. I wonder if Naruto-kun figured some of the evil piece's abilities. If he does know, then we're going to be seeing a very interesting game. Surzek analyzed with a smile. With Ria's group, who are in another table away, they are also curious about what Surzek were talking about with his group. I wonder why Hakufu-sen became a rook instead of a queen. The queen is a lot more powerful than a rook. Kiba thought out loud. I don't know, but it would be interesting on what would happen, Tsubaki replied. Riser's second group is now confronting Naruto's second group, Akino said as their attention turned to the other battlefield in it. Second group. Just like the first group, the second group who were on the opposite side in a distance of the first. Riser's second group were made up of with the rest of his pawns, Anai, Lee, Marion, Burant, and Mira. The five girls stared down at against three of Naruto's other peerage members. In front of them stood the Chinese sorcerer swordsman with the giant Mexican decent person and the veil-covered woman. Looking at each other, the swordsman was the first to speak up. Well, it's going to be interesting fighting these five girls. Personally, I would have enjoyed it more if they were stronger, but I guess this is a good chance to test myself, said the chestnut-haired boy. True, glancing up to the third teammate. What about you, big guy? Are you alright in fighting against these girls? Yuzum asked. Not really, but Naruto is fighting to help his friend. So I'll fight them. Of course, I'll have to hold back so not to hurt them much, said the tall Mexican person. Alright then, Chad, just stand back and watch our backs. Lee and I would be able to handle them, Yuzum cheerfully said, where Chad politely nodded as she stepped back a bit to give his other two teammates some space. Seeing them, Riser's group prepared themselves. Lee asked them their names since he wanted to know his first opponents in his first rating game. Giving him their names, Lee's group gave them theirs. I'm Lee Sioran, Naruto's knight. Lee introduced himself as he summoned his Chinese Jian sword. I'm Yuzum Izumo, Naruto-kun's pawn, said the well-endowed veiled young woman. I'm Chad, Naruto-san's rook. The muscular, extremely tall man wearing a green, short-sleeved shirt, dark blue jeans and ankle boots. He had a tattoo on his left shoulder that read Amore y Mort in Spanish. Hearing their names, Riser's pawns shouted out, promotion, queen. All five pawns were now queens, where Yuzum shouted out as well. Promotion, knight. Where Yuzum became a knight. Once Yuzum promotion, the two knights moved forward against the five girls. Banquet room. Seeing Yuzum promote to a knight is another surprising move, since now, Lee, Chad, and Yuzum are now facing five queens. Rias and the others wondered on how the three are going to handle five queens. As this was going on, Issei made another perverted comment on how big Hakufu and Yuzum breasts are, breasts that rivaled Rias and Akino. Calmly walking straight forward, Kuroka just sighed as she moved forward to block Riser's final group. Seeing Kuroka being frustrated, her partner decided to find out on what the Nekishu was sighing about. Kuroka, what's the matter? Said the person. What's the matter? I can sense Riser's queen is flying over the field, and yet she'll be going to face Yubelina, Kuroka said. And the problem would be? With an eyebrow raised in curiosity. It's the fact that I won't be able to fight her, Mocha-chan, Naya, Kuroka stated. That's all? Mocha deadpan said. That's right, Naya. Yubelina was the one that attacked and took out my Chiron. I intended to claw her eyes out with my hands, but Naruto-kun said that I should tag team with you, Kuroka complained. Well, you're more a ground fighter instead of a fly fighter, Mocha explained. That true, Kuroka grudged agreed. Besides, Mocha's attention turned to what's in front of them to see three of Riser's pieces were standing among them. We got some company, she stated. Hello Kuroka, it's been a while. said Revel. Hi Revel-chan. You've grown a lot since the last time I seen you, Naya, Kuroka cheerfully stated. Same to you. I hope you've taken care of my Nisama when he was away. Personally, I wish we didn't have to do this since I'm curious to know what he has been doing. Revel voiced her curiosity. To tell you the truth, it's been him who has taken care of me in more than one way, Naya, she said with a blush, giving anyone who was listening a few perverted ideas. But if anything, you should be more worried about Riser, since if he fought against Naruto-kun, he'll face a force that will make him wish he never cross him. Finished Kuroka with a smirk on her face. I don't know what he has done, but Riser Oniyasama won't lose against Naruto Oniyasama, Revel replied. Well, CO, and before we begin our fight, let me introduce to you to Naruto-kun's rook, the Daywalker, Mocha Akashiya, Kuroka introduced. Mocha Akashiya is an 18-year-old beautiful 5 feet 8 inches foot-tall woman who has long, knee-length, silver hair with red cat-like pupils. Her vampire fangs pronounced. She had on the same outfit as Hakufu, except hers was a white Chinese dress and turf shoes. Hearing that Mocha is a vampire, Revel looked a bit nervous but remembered she had 2 strong partners. Revel introduced Kuroka and Mocha to Maihi, Bishop, Carlamine, Knight, and Shiolan, Rook. Hearing this, both Mocha and Kuroka just smirked in confidence. The two just got themselves ready as Revel ordered Carlamine and Shiolan to take on Kuroka and Mocha while Maihi and her offer support. Banquet room. Whistling casually, Surzex looked at the screen that had Kuroka and Mocha. So he has a vampire among his peerage. That's interesting, wouldn't you say, my son? Lord Gremory stated. Surzex nodded in agreement as Lord Phenex also wondered on how his son got a vampire, especially a daywalker to boot. Damn that Naruto bastard. He has several sexy girls with killer bodies that rival Bucho and Akino-senpai. Issei stated out loud as he shook his fist in rage at how envious he was to the new Phenex. Seeing Kuroka and Mocha together, Issei whined jealously at how lucky Naruto has for having a sexy rook and bishop. As he said it, he suddenly thought about what Kuroka said. Wait a second, that Kuroka girl, she said that she wants to fight Yubelina for taking out Chiron. Who's Chiron? There isn't anyone here with that name. Issei muttered out loud. That because she goes by a different name. She is actually here. Rias pointed out to their youngest member in the group. Kaneko-chan, you're Chiron, Asia said in surprise. But why is Kuroka calling Kaneko-chan Chiron? Issei wondered. That's because that's her first name, the name that Kuroka gave her, Akino playfully mentioned. Why's that? Asia asked curiously as she didn't understand the situation. She's my Wanisama, Kaneko plainly stated. She's your older sister? Issei said in surprise as Kaneko nodded in answering his question. Issei looked back at Kuroka and Kaneko where he finally noticed the resemblance between the two girls. He cursed Naruto for having Kaneko's older sister as his bishop. He then imagined on what Kaneko would look like when she gets older, where he snickered at how sexy she would look like. Kaneko kicked him, breaking him from his imagination. Hentai, Issei-senpai, she said. Ano, if Kaneko-chan and Kuroka-san are sisters, why aren't they both in either one of your peerages, Bucho? Asia asked out of curiosity since it kept both sisters separate. You see, Naruto found Kuroka and Kaneko-chan years ago where he took Kuroka in. He would have wanted to have Kaneko-chan in his peerage as well, but given the special circumstances it would have been a problem. So, he asked if I could take in Kaneko-chan as part of my family, which I happily agreed, which I never regretted on my decision. I not only gotten a wonderful rook, but I also gotten both a friend and a cute little sister, Rias cheerfully said. Kaneko didn't show it, but she was also happy that she was with Rias since Rias has treated her very kindly and always watched out for her, especially over the last couple of years when Kuroka was gone. Their attention soon changed when Sona spoke up. She openly said on how curious she was on the fact that Naruto has gotten a vampire, especially a daywalker. Hearing that Mocha is a vampire, Issei was surprised but not much since he was getting used to the supernatural world, while Rias thought about her second bishop since Mocha's presence might cause some situations. As their conversation continued, their attention turned back to the raiding game as the sounds of explosions and battle cries could be heard. It was only when the smoke cleared in one of the battlefields that they saw the results. Coder's group. As the twins with chainsaws moved with their heightened queen promotion, Naruto's first group waited patiently before the two reached the halfway point. Once they did, Hakufu made her move. She instantly moved forward where she surprised the two chainsaw-wielding girls as they had their chainsaw ready to strike. The first thing that Hakufu did was to disarm them by destroying their weapons. Channeling her magic where she gathered a small amount of water, she aimed for the sides of the chainsaws where she broke the machines with a quick punch and back elbow thrust before performing a double split kick on the two to separate them. Seeing the twins being taken out, Cirrus and Isabella moved forward but were surprised to see Sylvia was already in front of them. Sylvia focused her attention on Cirrus where she used her sword skills to parry Cirrus' larger sword with ease while pushing her attack on her. Isabella rushed towards Hakufu, who calmly stood still with a smirk. Isabella started to fight Hakufu with incredible skills in martial arts, but Hakufu easily blocked, diverted, and dodged all of Isabella's attacks. Having enough of Isabella's assault, Hakufu waited until Isabella made the mistake. Isabella threw a punch where Hakufu ducked under, giving her an opening. Gathering Ki into her hand, Hakufu immediately delivered an open palm strike at Isabella's unprotected abs. In an instant, Isabella felt a pain like no other as Hakufu delivered her strike. The Ki-enhanced palm strike delivered a powerful hit where Isabella was sent flying with plenty of her clothes being destroyed along the process. Isabella was sent directly into one of the giant chest structures that was nearby. Being out cold as Isabella was now stuck 5 feet deep inside the stone structure. It was then that she was being teleported out of the raiding game. Riser's rook has retired, Grafia announced to everyone. Sharia, who was witnessing on what was happening, decided to join in but from distance. She promoted herself to a queen as well where she gained a boost of magical power. Staying from a distance, she fired several, simple, fire attacks at Hakufu in hopes to bombard her around. Seeing Sharia firing several volleyball-sized fireballs, Hakufu switched gears where she concentrated with her Ki to manipulate her water nature. Gathering a good amount of water around her body, bathtub size, and fired it directly at Sharia's fire attack while running towards her. The water collided with the fireballs which cancelled each other out, surprising Sharia. Before she could react, Hakufu was now in front of her where he delivered a strong left hook into her stomach. How? Sharia stuttered in pain before she went unconscious where she was then teleported away. Riser's pawn has retired. The twins finally got back up from being kicked away where their head was still spinning. They stumbled close together in order to figure out on what to do. But before they can come up with something, they both heard from behind them. Alright, now it's time for little girls like you to fall asleep. They both turned to see Kotaru was right behind them with his hands on their shoulders while lazily looking at them. Before they can move, Kotaru squeezed a bit on certain part on their necks where it made them twitch for a moment before they went out cold. The two girls were then teleported away from the battlefield. 2 of Riser's pawns have retired. Cirrus panted heavily as she held her sword in front of her, while Sylvia still kept her cool and showed no signs of exhaustion. Looking around her, she knew that Isabella, Lee, and Sharia were now gone, leaving her alone to face these 3. As thought about it, she also wondered to herself, how in the world are we losing this fast? Banquet room. Everyone watched as Naruto's peerage had defeated 4 of Riser's pieces, 3 of which were promoted pawns in their queen form. That made it more interesting since Hakufu, Kotaru, and Sylvia didn't show signs of fatigue during the entire confrontation. Hakufu-san defeated those 3 with ease, with Kotaru just assisting in knocking out the twins with no problems. Akino said as she was impressed on how the first group defeat all but one of their opponents with ease. For Issei, it was kind of hard for him to swallow since he fought the twins and Isabella. Even though they were even, it took him a good effort along with his boosted gear to defeat them. Seeing Hakufu, who promoted to a rook while the 3 pawns were promoted into queens and Isabella as well, was a wake-up call on where he stands. She's strong, Kaneko monotone said. Second group. As the remaining 5 pawns promoted themselves to queens, Yuzum prepared herself in her promoted knight form with Lee, male, being her tag team partner while Chad stood back as he gazed at what's going to happen. And Lee moved in with Mira right behind while Marion and Burent stood back to watch on how their 2 opponents will respond. And Lee ran in a zigzag pattern to obscure the 2 fighters. Lee male jumped back a bit where he kept his guard up while Yuzum moved a bit forward. Once the 2 Nikomata's girl were at close range, Yuzum made her move. Manipulating her silk veils, she quickly moved with incredible speeds towards the 2 Nikomatas. Once in range, she used her veils as whips to separate the 2. Once separated, Yuzum used her enhanced speed to get right at Lee's face where she used her veils to wrap around Lee's neck before turning around to use her as a projectile. Being separated from her sister, and I tried to move back together with her. Unfortunately, to her surprise, she saw Lee being used like a slingshot and sent directly towards her. Just barely moving out of the way, Lee continued to being airborne before tumbling to a stop on the ground. And I looked back but was surprised when she felt something pierce her center. She looked back to see Yuzum was now in front of her but had changed her silk veil into a lance that was thrust into her gut. With that, an eye had checked out which it was known to everyone. Lee looked up to see her sister being taken out, but before she could do anything, Lee, male, caught Mira where he threw her towards Lee. The two collided together but ended on the ground. Quickly getting into stance, Naruto's knight held his sword horizontally while having his hand up vertically on the middle of the steel. His sword began to glow where static power was being let out. Gathering the amount he needed, he held his sword up and swung. "Obey thy command. Thunder, come forth!" Lee shouted where a lightning slash was sent directly at the two. Before it could reach the two, a wall of fire in front of Lee and Mira where it protected them. Seeing the firewall, Lee, male, and Yuzum looked behind the two girls to see Marion and Burent with their arms up showing that they created the firewall. "It seems that in order to take this group out we're going to have keep them busy so they can't work together," Lee commented. "Yeah, it looks like we're going to have to fight back to back in order to take these girls out," Yuzum suggested where Lee nodded in agreement with her assessment. Both moved forward where they moved together in order to take them out. Banquet room. Everyone watched as the rating game has been showing some interesting things. Rias and others watched as Naruto's peerage moving closer to victory since Kotoru's group is still strong with only Cirrus the only left. "This is good. Naruto-san's group is so far taken the lead with none of their members being taken out," Kiba remarked. "Yes, but personally, it's making me grow more worry," Sona said. "Why is that, Sona Kaishu?" Tsubaki curiously asked. "Because all but one of Riser's peerage is accounted for," Sona said where everyone in the table realized on what she meant. On the screen, the sudden appearance of Naruto's first group with Kotoru, Hakufu, and Sylvia. Before anything, a sudden flash was seen from above where all three looked up to see a couple of fireballs came down on them. Fortunately, before it could even reach them, a powerful flower petal whirlwind came out of nowhere where it caused the fireballs to explode in midair before even reaching the team. On the sky, Yubelina witnessed on what was happening where she saw Cirrus was standing alone. Seeing this, Riser's queen saw that the three had their attention on Cirrus where Sylvia was dueling against the knight. She decided to take advantage of it where she gathered her magical power and fired several her fireballs. Her attack was stopped when the petal whirlwind surprised everyone, including her, that it stopped her attack. Before she could wonder on what happened, Yubelina heard a voice across from her. "Eren not bad on attacking them when they didn't keep their guard up in the sky. But unfortunately for you, you didn't suspect that Naruto-kun would also thought about it where he had me just watch over them and take care of any stray shots, just like you." Yubelina looked in front of her to see someone gently hover down with their devil wings completely spread out. Floating in front of the bomb queen, she can see a young, beautiful woman in her early 20s. She stood at 5 feet 9 inches foot with amber eyes and long light brown hair. Her hair is longer than her knees with her right bangs are long and are kept behind her right ear along with the rest of her hair. Her left bangs are shorter than her right, however they are still longer than her face. This cluster of hair hangs freely in front of her left ear. She was wearing a tight white leather pants and leather jacket that left her stomach exposed, which gave a good view of her splendid curves, more on her breasts, which were even bigger than Shizuka. She had an ample mark on her left breast. In her hands she held an elegant katana in her right and its sheath in the left. On her left leg she had a pair of throwing knives strapped to a small belt around her leg. "Still, it's a pleasure to meet a fellow queen. Now, before we get started, let us introduce ourselves, since even though I learned a bit about you before our meeting, I believe that a proper introduction with each other would be appropriate," said the young woman. "Very well, I'm Yubelina, Riser-sama's great queen," Yubelina said. "A pleasure to meet you, Yubelina. I'm Yuko Sajiri, Naruto-kun's left-handed queen," Yuko simply said. "Left-handed queen? Why you call yourself that?" Yubelina asked as she held her scythe on the ready. "It's because the right hand is reserved for that special person. After all, like Grafia-san is Lucifer-sama's right hand, Naruto-kun's right hand hasn't yet made her appearance. Although, hopefully she doesn't mind on sharing him with those of us that are interested in him as well," said the light brunette as she had a bit of a red on her cheeks. She closed her eyes before reopening them to reveal that she was now serious, but I believe that's a conversation for another time. Right now, I believe it's time to see which queen is stronger, don't you agree? Yuko implied as she sheathed her sword where it is attached by her waist. Ditto. Yubelina agreed where she prepared her scythe. Waiting for a bit, Yubelina made the first move where she channeled her magic into her scythe where it fired several large fireballs as Yuko. Yuko just calmly looked on before she made her strike. Banquet room. Everyone saw the appearance of Naruto's final member. his unknown queen now hovering in front of Riser's queen. As the two had their little discussion, several people, mainly the men, looked at the young queen. I take back what I said about Shizuka-san. Naruto's queen has the biggest epee I've ever seen? Issei blurted out without a care on who listened in. Yuko Sajiri-san glancing at Yuko's body figure, it appears that Naruto has gotten himself some interesting people to be part of his peerage. Don't you agree, Rias? Sona asking her childhood friend as she stared at Naruto's queen. Hai nodded in agreement before continuing on, although I'm curious to see how she would do against Yubelina. Don't you agree, Akino? Rias asked her queen and best friend. Akino was curious on knowing how Naruto's queen would do against Yubelina. Akino had fought against Yubelina and the reason she lost was because Yubelina had used the Phenex tears to cure her wounds and such where Akino didn't have it that later soon caused her defeat. Waiting for the two queens to fight, many men sitting around the tables couldn't help but mutter on how lucky Naruto got to have such a beautiful woman to be his queen, one that some wish they can have where some high-class devils thought about making a trade with him. In Gremry and Phenex family table, Lord Phenex commented on his youngest son's choice in his queen since he was interested to see what she can do if she was able to block Yubelina's attack with ease. As the battles around the raiding game continued on, Kuroka and Mocha both kept their guard up since they were facing not only Revel, but also Riser's final rook, knight, and bishop. After waiting for a bit, Riser's group made their first move with Maihi and Revel quickly got together where they fired several fireballs at the two. Both girls didn't look fazed as the fireballs hit them where the others wondered why their opponents didn't move. The answer became clear as their images simply disappeared like a soft gentle wind. Kuroka and Mocha were illusions as they had disappeared. All of them tried to look for them when all of a sudden Kuroka appeared in front of them again. Smiling confidently in a sinister way, the raven-haired Nekisha simply said, Era, that was a good effort if we were rookies but unfortunately, I and Mocha have been trained by Naruto-kun. And you do remember Naruto-kun is like when it comes to fights. Where Revel reluctantly nodded since she remembered when she was younger on how skilled Naruto's combat skills are. Before anything else could be said, Kuroka simply stated with a smile, also watch out Naya. They looked confused before they realized on what she meant where they looked around to see Mocha was now running towards them before leaping into the air for a flying high kick. Revel and her group separated as they dodged Mocha's attack. Mocha slid on the ground where she created a ditch that was 5 meters long and knee-high. Seeing how strong Mocha really is, Xiaolan and Carlmain knew that they needed to take out Mocha first since not only are her physical skills high up but also her speed. Xiaolan looked at Carlmain where they were on the same page about it. Carlmain suggested that Xiaolan to go see how fast Mocha's reaction speed and martial arts skills are before they decided on how to take her out. Leaping out of the ditch she created, Mocha looked to see Xiaolan running towards her. Seeing Xiaolan coming at her, Mocha witnessed Xiaolan had her hand and feet covered in fire. Not feeling concerned, Mocha steadily waited until Xiaolan came to her. Getting within striking range, Xiaolan punched and kicked Mocha in any way she could in order to injure Mocha. Unfortunately, Mocha simply dodged every last of Xiaolan's strike without her even touching her. Getting annoyed, Mocha decided to end the fight by catching Xiaolan's high kick while avoiding the flame around her foot. You're annoying, know your place, Mocha simply stated as she backflipped her body, tugging at Xiaolan closer. Letting her go, Xiaolan didn't have a change to block properly Mocha high kick to her face where she was shot back into one of the giant chess pieces. Seeing Xiaolan being sent flying, Carlmain looked worried before she heard steady footsteps coming towards her. Looking back, she saw Mocha calmly walking closer to her. Seeing her coming towards her, she drew her sword where she encased the blade with fire to increase its damaging effect. As Carlmain prepared to avenge Xiaolan, she gazed at Mocha's eyes where she started to quiver a bit in fear. Mocha's eyes were piercing red where it glowed even redder as a slight breeze made her hair gently move with the wind, making her more majestic. At the same time that Mocha was dealing with Xiaolan and Carlmain, Kuroka was dealing with Revel and Maihi. Once being separated from Mocha's attack, Revel and Maihi got together where they decided to rejoin with either Xiaolan or Carlmain. Before they could even move, they were surrounded by multiple Kurokas. The black-haired Nikomata used her senjutsu and yujitsu abilities to create illusions of herself to surround Riser's two bishops. Revel and Maihi fired several fire attacks at her where each attack just phased through. Oh my, those attacks would have hurt. Too bad for you two to have such poor aim. I think you two might be overstressed about this. Here, this should help you relax a bit, Naya, all the Kuroka illusions simultaneously said while raising a hand up. Letting out a gentle yet strong breathe out onto her hand, a small amount of mist began to increase in size. Being surrounded in the mist, Revel and Maihi wondered on what this is before they started to feel their bodies to numb. Poison, Revel stated. We need to get out, where Maihi nodded agreement as she brought out her devil wings to fly. Ravel's demonic fire wings burst out of her back where the two tried to fly away. But before they could even get out of the area, the two were suddenly thrown back to the center by several strong hits. "Sorry Ravel-chan, but I can't let you get away now, Naya," Kuroka teasfully said. As they tried to get back up, Ravel and Maihi coughed in pain as their bodies were now really started to grow numb. They tried to move, but the effects of the poison was really affecting them. Hearing footsteps coming towards them, they both looked up to see the Nikomata mistress standing over them. "This is checkmate for you too, Naya. Ravel, you might be a phoenix, but unlike the legendary true phoenix and Naruto-kun, a phoenix's physical ability can't heal poison. I'm afraid this is the for you too, Naya." Teasfully glee at the two. Banquet room. Seeing Kuroka slowly defeating Ravel and Maihi, along with Mocha's incredible strength, really showed a lot on how powerful they are. Suga Issei muttered out in astonishment. Big Gap Kaneko simply said, although can't help but be envious at both her sister and Mocha since they're fighting opponents they fought. Seeing Mocha defeat Xiaolan with minimal try, it showed the level of difference they were. Even her sister has changed so much that she is easily defeating Ravel just by poisoning her. Poison, why didn't I think of that? If I had, then I may have been able to have a better chance to defeat Riser, Rias muttered to herself. Glancing at her childhood friend, Sona saw that Rias was in thought where she guessed what it was. "Rias, you shouldn't think about the past too much. What's done is done, which you can't rewrite it. The only thing you could do is just learn from it and move forward. Right now, the only thing you should be doing is continue to cheer for your friend," said Co-Academy President. Knowing that Sona was right, Rias looked back at the fight where things were getting closer to the conclusion. As the battles on the ground began to settle with the two queens were settling their fight. Yubelina had bruises and burns from the physical hits from Yuko's elbow, kicks, and knee attacks with enhanced lightning affinity, while Yuko had similar bruises except she had a few light burns and cuts that showed in her leather clothes. The two panted as they stared at each other. As they were ready to fight again, Yubelina positioned her scythe where she looked gleeful. Curious on seeing how Yubelina was looking so confident, Yuko decided to ask the bomb queen. "What's with the look? Are you enjoying this battle or is it something else?" Yubelina just looked at Yuko with a straight face before pulling out a small vial. Yuko saw the vial where she narrowed her eyes for a second before she realized on what it was. "That vial is that," Yuko started to say before Yubelina cut her off. "Yes. This is the Phoenix Tears. As you know, these tears can heal all the injuries that the user receives. You fought well, but I'm afraid this is the end for you," Yubelina said as she took the contents of the vial where all her wounds began to heal. Once she was fully healed, Yubelina's confidence grew since she now had a chance to win. However, glancing at Yuko, her confidence began to waver as Naruto's queen maintained her poker face, which was now smiling at her, especially in the situation she was in now. "I can see that the Phoenix Tears abilities are true as they say, which can be very troubling. However, in this case, it won't matter since I've already completed my task," Yuko stated. "Your task?" Yubelina said as she gathered her magic for another fire attack. "Yes, you see, Naruto-kun had asked me to observe you and gather some intelligence on you. However, seeing the rating game match against Rias and how you fought now, Naruto-kun's hypothesis about Riser not training his peerage properly does show," Yuko explained. Yubelina grew angry where she threw several fireballs where Yuko easily dodged or deflected by sending some lighting into her arms and legs. Getting a bit of distance, Yuko looked back at the bomb queen. "I believe I have entertained you long enough. It's time to finish this," she stated as she began to draw her sword from its sheath for the first time in their battle. It was then that Yubelina, and those in the banquet room, gazed at Flameless Phoenix Queen. Yuko's long silk hair began to change hair color where it changed from light brown to silver white, like Graphia. Once her hair had completely changed, Yuko pointed her katana at Yubelina as she stared back. Yubelina didn't wait for Yuko to make a move where she gathered a large amount of fire magic against the now silver hair queen. But before she could even attack, Yuko moved forward with her sword covered in lightning. Yubelina attacked with a concentrated fire blast at close range to take out Yuko, but Yuko unleashed a powerful lightning-enhanced slash with her sword. The slash not only cut Yubelina's attack, but it continued to move forward as it grew in size and power, completely overwhelming Yubelina's attack as the slash hit dead-on. "Kyakudai Raimaiken, Maximum Thunderclap Sword," Yuko calmly said as her placed back her sword in its sheath while Yubelina is forcefully teleported away in a magical teleportation circle. "Riser's queen is retired," Graphia announced. Yuko breathed easily as she took out Riser's queen where it shows with her hair going back to normal. It was then that she heard from the intercom in her ear. "Yuko-chan, I sensed that you fought and took out Yubelina. Are you alright?" Naruto asked. I'm alright, Naruto-kun. I just have a few injuries, Yuko responded. Alright then. I'll send Shizuka to take a look at you, or are you okay with just yourself? Naruto said. I'll be alright, I do have medical knowledge as well. Save Shizuka for anyone else who will need it, Yuko replied, which Naruto agreed. Banquet Hall. Everyone showed on how impressed or shocked at how Yuko defeated Yubeluna. Akino was the most surprised/stunned than everyone else since she fought against Yubeluna, who also used the Phoenix Tears to defeat her. However, Yuko was in a similar situation that the Thunder Priestess was in, yet Yuko defeated Yubeluna with ease. Naruto-kun's queen is very impressive, said Lady Gremory stated, which everyone agreed. But I must say, she does look like you, Grafia-chan, Surzex commented to his queen, which she nodded in agreement. However, Surzex continued on with his comment. Although if I'm so boldly say Yuko is physically more well-endowed, he said innocently enough. Although, once he finished it, he suddenly felt a painful tug on his cheek where he saw Grafia pulling his face with her hand while still maintaining her monotone look. Please learn how to properly speak, Surzex-sama, Grafia plainly said, where Surzex agreed with. Hearing Yubeluna has been retired, Revel coughed harshly while thinking on how bad the situation is growing. Before anything else could happen, she suddenly heard Grafia announce in the area. Riser's knight is retired, Riser's 5 pawns retired. Hearing that everyone except her, Maihi, Carlmane and her brother are the only ones left, Revel knew that they'll lose if they don't take out Mocha and Kuroka first before any of their backup comes here. Revel used her remaining strength to do something to keep Kuroka at bay. She wielded her Phenex ability of fire to encircle the two where it spread until it reached Kuroka's illusions. Revel contracted her fire to encircle both her and Maihi before she elevated her encircle fire to expand in height so to keep Kuroka's at bay. Kuroka stopped her assault as she saw the youngest Phoenix encircling herself and her teammate in fire. She knew that it kept her at bay as well as burned the poison that she unleashed away. Deciding to wait, Kuroka just glanced at the flaming barrier. Her attention then changed when she heard Grafia out. Riser's knight has retired. Glancing at Mocha, she saw the young beautiful vampire held Carlmane by her neck as her armor was stripped out and clothes shredded with her swords on the ground before she vanished from the raiding game. Taking a closer look, Kuroka saw that the only visible injury Mocha had was a deep cut in her arm as blood gushed out from the slash. Mocha, are you alright? Kuroka asked in concern to her vampire friend. I am alright. I just need Shizuka or Yuko to look over the injury, Mocha replied calmly. I contact Naruto-kun, Naya, Kuroka said, where she contacted Naruto through the intercom in her ear where he was sending Shizuka to their location. Revel and Maihi were strategizing on what to do. When Revel created her fire barrier, she took out her Phoenix Tears where she and Maihi recovered a bit from Kuroka's poison. As the two bishops discussed on their plans, they both heard Grafia announce Carlmane's retirement, which meant that they were Riser's last defense. Before they could figure out on what to do, they suddenly witnessed Ravel's fire barrier was cut in half. Before they could do something, a water whip came out of nowhere where it caught Maihi from her ankle and tossed her into the air. Revel was about to help but suddenly leapt out of the way from an energy attack. But leaping out of the way, Maihi was struck by lightning where she was then taken out of the game. Revel balanced herself out where she saw right in front of her was her brother, Naruto, entire peerage standing above her. She looked around where she saw everyone where she spotted Shizuka using her magic to heal Mocha's injured arm while Yuko stood at the back. Revel-chan, I suggest you retire now since I doubt you can beat all of us now, Naya, Kuroka simply said as she tilted her head cutely. Revel shook in frustration before resigning herself since she knew she can't beat them all. Before she could even announce her retirement, Kotaru and Chad jumped in front of everyone. Inagami Ryokuga, Inagami style, vacuum fong, Kotaru shouted as he fired a KI attack that turned into a shadow fong. Chad thrust a punch where he fired a magical energy blast where the two attacks synced together. It was then that an explosion was heard in the air. Everyone looked up to see the explosion disperse where they saw a shadowy figure hover down to everyone. It was then that everyone saw who it was since the fire wings were a dead giveaway. Nisama, Revel shouted back in relief since she knew that her brother would change the course of this match. Looking down, his eyes gazed at his opponents. Although his eyes leered more on the women in Naruto's peerage, especially on Shizuka and Yuko considering their breast size. Era, I can't believe that my little brother was able to take out all of my peerage members. Although, I must say that he chosen poorly considering he has several male members in his team. You all did well against my peerage, but against me, I can take you all on with ease, Riser confidently said. Narrowing their eyes, they can see how arrogant Riser really is, which they mentally agreed with Naruto that Riser is overgrown jerk. Alright then, bring it. If you're so confident, why don't you come down here and take your beating like a man already? I'm going to enjoy beating your face into the ground, you lecherous playboy. Kotaru growled at him as he was eager to start fighting the overconfident Phenex. TSK, my brother seems to be lacking in training his pieces if they bark back at their superior with such disrespect. Riser announced to them. Respect? How the only respect I have for you is the same respect I see a bug on a carcass of a dead animal. Kuroka said as she walked up. Oh my, Kuroka-chan, I can see that you've really grown. It's a shame that my annoying little brother didn't trade you to me, since I have no doubt that we would have a pleasant time together. Riser flirted the black hair Nekashu. You're still the same jerk that I know, Riser. Comparing you to my king, he definitely outranks you in everything, and I do mean everything. Kuroka teased at the older Phenex male. Naruto's peerage chuckled at what Kuroka said before they heard Revel shout at them to quiet down, but didn't. Maintaining his cool, Riser didn't let Kuroka's insult get to him. Oh well, it seems now that I am going to have to show all of you some respect. I'll take out the men first so that way I and all of you ladies can start to get to know each other, since I'm sure I can convince you on how much more pleasant I can be instead of my disgrace of younger brother. Riser simply stated as he enhanced the flames on his wings more. Everyone prepared before they heard footsteps coming from behind. They turned to see Naruto walking up to them. All of you guys did great. But I'm going to have to ask you all to step down at this point, Naruto confidently said with a smile on his face, since his peerage has really grown to be very strong. However, his pleasant smile only lasts for another second before he opened his eyes to reveal his serious face, since if anyone is going to take out my brother, it's going to be me. He stated with a commanding tone. Steadily walking forward, Naruto stopped as he reached Shizuka. Taking off his jacket, he handed it to her. Here, Shizu-chan, I don't want it to get destroyed. So can you hold on to this? He asked his blonde bishop. Shizuka nodded where she held his jacket once she was done healing Mocha's arm from the slash Karl Main gave her. Moving forward, Naruto kept his eye on Riser as he spoke to his peerage. You guys have really improved in these past 5 years. I'm glad you agreed to be part of my team. But now, this last challenge in our first rating game is for me and me alone. If you guys don't mind, can you stand back, since I'm going to show my brother on where he stands now? Where his peerage agreed, although Kotaru whined about not being able to punch Riser's face. Walking a bit more, Naruto stopped next to Revel. You should also get back, Revel. You'll only be in the way, he suggested to his little sister. Revel was about to retort but saw Naruto's eyes where her body froze, since Naruto's eyes show eyes of a seasoned warrior, a glare that made her believe that she can actually die. Revel just knelt down in submission where she moved back. Once Revel left them alone, Naruto put his focus on his brother Riser, still wearing his white wedding suit, touched down on the ground to be on even eye level. Being overconfident, Riser simply walked up to Naruto with one of his hands in his pants pocket. Now then, Naruto, why don't you for once be smart, and just forfeit, since you do know that I'm going to win? Said the older Phenex. How about you act like a good brother, and just shut up for once? Naruto replied. Narrowing his eyes at Naruto's comment, Riser stopped just in front of Naruto. You know you're trying my patience now. Just give up, since unlike the rest of our family, you don't have any of the Phenex family regenerative powers or even our great flames. Riser commented while releasing his flames to surround the two of them. I may not be able to wield the flames of our family, but that means nothing to me. And by the way, if you think you can use such a cheap pyro technique to intimidate me, then I can see why you be so scared of me. Smirked Naruto as he didn't show signs of weakness or fear. Riser growled in frustration as Naruto stood perfectly still, keeping his smiling poker face without blinking, having his guard down and such. Basically, Naruto was telling him through body language that he didn't consider his brother, Riser, a threat. Alright, I had enough. I'm going to finally put you, Riser shouted before he was cut off by a fist in his face. Naruto had enough talk where he simply punched Riser's face with a good amount of force while bending both his arms and knees a bit, bringing up his guard. Pulling his fist back, he looked at his older brother. Oh, did that hurt? I'm sorry if it did, but I just had to, since I figured it would be great to rearrange your face to something better considering on how you look now. Naruto remarked with a smirk. Why, you little, Riser said again before he was cut off by another punch at his face, this time with enough force to throw him back a good couple of meters. Enough talk, let's see if you actually have any skills, since I highly doubt that your overbearing mouth would finish this fight. Naruto stated as he put his guard up and took a fighting stance. Riser just did what Naruto said, where he gathered his fire in his hands and was going to throw it at him. But before he could even attack, Naruto used Shundo to instantly be in front of Riser, where he used his martial arts skills to diverge the blast away from him. The fire blast went into a different direction, where Naruto had a clear opening where he delivered another strong punch into his older brother that sent him flying back. Riser was sent directly to one of the chess piece replicas. Banquet room. Seeing both brother now coming up to face each other after their peerage have finished fighting, many were both excited and anticipating on how the outcome will come out to. Rias looked nervous since she knew that Naruto didn't have the Phenex abilities like the rest of his family. As she, along with those that know Naruto's past, knew that he had a very huge disadvantage. Naruto-kun, Rias muttered as she was nervous for her friend/old crush. Now the real fight is about to begin. Sona thought out loud. Hi, the real question here is whether or not if Naruto-san has greatly increased his power, or Tsubaki started to explain. If Naruto-kun has a secret strategy to take out Riser. Akino finished Tsubaki's explanation. We're going to see now. Kiba remarked as he, Issei, Asia, and Kaneko just looked on since this is the real match. It seems my inquisitiveness is going to be answered now. Surzek said with his usual laid-back look since he was intrigued on how Naruto has grown up. Yes, my boy, I'm just as curious as well, Lord Gremory said. Although Surzek started to reply, regardless on how the match is going to turn out, I do know that after this is over, Naruto-kun is going to turn his rage from Riser-kun to you four. Looking back at both his parents, and Lord and Lady Phenex. Yes, but considering that he left without a proper explanation or consideration to everyone's feelings. I doubt his anger would be that much, but considering that Rias wasn't involved, it would still be a very unpleasant meeting. Surzek-sama, I suggest we join Lord and Lady Phenex to help keep things civilized. Graphia suggested to her king since she knew that next to Surzek's, Naruto cared about Rias very deeply. Yes, I believe that a good idea. Surzek's agreeing with his wife's agreement. Their attention changed when they saw a couple of explosions to see Naruto was dodging Riser's fire blasts, who was throwing them while he was in the air. Raiding game. Naruto shunned around the area as he continued to dodge Riser's fire blast attack. While dodging, Naruto kept his poker face grin where he continued to look at Riser with it. Riser, who continued his assault at his brother, just growled at seeing his brother not even showing a frown in this situation. What's the matter, and Ai-san, can you even hit me being up there? Or is it the fact that you don't have any skills in fighting someone who is stronger than you? Naruto taunted his older brother where he made several poses at his brother where he disappeared from the spot to another when a fire attack tried to hit him. Seeing that his brother was taunting him, Riser suddenly grinned when fired several more blasts around Naruto. The young Phenex noticed that his brother wasn't even throwing his attacks at or near him. He stopped his movements while taking a glance around him. Snapping his eyes in realization, Naruto thought to himself, it would seem that my brother isn't all bark with his other opponents. Looking up to his brother. Riser looking down at his brother with a sinister grin, he was pleased to see that his brother finally noticed that he had created a circular barrier of fire to surround Naruto in. The orange-red flames was in Riser's command as he prepared to finish his brother off. You really are pathetic if you didn't even see this attack coming. Riser overboosted his victory as he prepared his hands. Naruto continued to calmly look at Riser where he suddenly clasped his hands together. The flames around him suddenly collide to the center where Naruto didn't attempt to defend himself, just grew a small smirk as the flames devour him. Banquet room. Naruto! Rias cried out with Akino, and Sona stood up in fear at their friend. Everyone watched as they anticipate that the match would be over now. But what they saw next was something that no one, either Riser, could have predicted. As Riser's flames continued to engulf the center of the circular furnace, Riser just looked down with an uncaring look. Ravel, who was standing by, looked in fear as she saw her older brother Riser burn their brother alive. This is what you get when you mess with your superior. Now, with this little annoyance out of the way, I have a wedding to get to. And once I have Rias, I might come for your peerage since they obviously need someone to actually train them. Riser taunted. But before he can even call out his victory, something in Riser's flames began to look off. It was only when the orange-red flames suddenly erupted around that everyone saw what was inside. The orange-red flames began to be eaten away by black flames. The black flames began to encircle the area before it spread out to reveal an unharmed Naruto. Having his eyes closed with his arms crossed, he looked unharmed except his bandages on his forearms were burned off to reveal black tattoos in his forearms. It was only when the black flames had completely engulfed Riser's that Naruto opened his eyes to reveal the seriousness and intensity that were held in them. What was that you were saying? If this is the level of my superior, then I'm going to reveal what a lackey can do. Naruto taunted as the black flames began to recede into Naruto, showing that Naruto was the wielder. Seeing Naruto commanding the black flames, Riser looked stupefied/stunned/shocked at what he was seeing from his little brother. Impossible. You don't have the flames of the Phenex. How can you even wield these flames? Riser asked with a commanding tone. That's simple, there are more than one type of flame in the world. I just happen to be a wielder of another type, a type that only one other being is able to handle, said Naruto with a growing grin. Another being? Riser confusedly repeated. That's right. I believe that you know the legendary Dragon King, Vritra, known as the Prison Dragon. Vritra is a master of the Blaze Black Flare, also known as the Evil Dragon's Black Flame. He's first. Naruto crossed his forearms up to his face, while I'm the second. By mastering the Dark Dragon Flames of Magia Arabia, he stated with an insane grin as the black flame burst out calmly and mystically from his forearms, where his entire body began to be enwrapped around the black flames of chaos. Once he was powered up, he instantly leapt forward, where he moved with incredible speed that surprised Riser. Before he could even guard himself, Naruto appeared right in front of Riser, where he delivered a black flame punch. Banquet room. Every single guest started to talk in astonishment at what Naruto has done. Those who have heard of the Black Dragon Flames of Chaos couldn't believe that a devil was able to wield the dark flame without Prison Dragon to aid him. Naruto-san, he actually is able to wield such a dark flame, Sona said as she was stunned about it. I can't believe that he is able to summon such a power, Rias muttered as her eyes widened in surprise. Era, you're right about that. But if anything, you all have to agree Akino getting everyone's attention, that those black flames surround him does make him really sexy, said the Thunder Priestess as a lustful look grew on her face on seeing Naruto being covered in such a power, while placing a finger on her mouth, as she imagined a few possibilities. Issei teared up as he saw how Akino found Naruto acting so strong and such. I can't believe on how reckless Naruto is? To actually be suicidal enough to actually master the forbidden flame that the magicians created. Lord Phenex. I'm going to strangle my idiotic son for doing something like this? Naruto's mother stated as she shook in frustration. As much as I want to see that conversation, I'm more curious on how he managed to master, or for that matter, how he was able to find that spell. Surzex curiously wondered. We'll find out later, since I want to see what a devil can do with this technique, since all those that tried to have failed, Lord Gremory said. Those who were old enough to remember or heard of the forbidden technique, the chaotic dark dragon flame of Magia Arabia, knew that any devil and magician that tried to use the technique either died or aren't able to use magic anymore, more fatalities and devils. It was so dangerous for anyone that only an accurate handful was able to master it, being humans, and I do mean only 5 fingers, but are now gone because of old age. The spell was said to be sealed in secret by the most noble of magicians, where no one would be able to learn from or find it. For Naruto to be able to find and master the spell, they can't help but wonder on what else Naruto is able to do. Being punched in the face, Naruto continued his assault, where he followed his brother that he punched in the face. Quickly elbowing his gut, he sent Riser down, embedding him into the ground, while Naruto used his black flames that cover his entire body to maintain himself in the air. Waiting for a bit, Naruto saw a sudden fire pillar erupt from the ground that he sent Riser. Coming out of the flames, Riser had his fire wings spread out as he elevated himself to be on Naruto's eye level. Glaring at Naruto, Riser just growled a bit before he started to snicker. Naruto raised single eyebrow as he was wondering on what Riser was thinking about. You surprised me? You actually found your own type of flames. That's pretty good, but comparing it to the flames of true Phenex like me, it means nothing, Riser commented. I don't know about that, where Riser's smile faded. I'll show you what else my dragon flame can do, Naruto said as he narrowed his flame. Riser used his flame, where he created a flame spear where he charged at him. Naruto charged forward as well while focusing his hands to create a single black flame sword. Both clashed together while fighting in the air. Banquet room. The sounds of powers clashing between the two brothers were heard around. Moving with incredible speed where high-class devils can still easily see, Rias and the others watched as Naruto and Riser continued to fight for dominance. Everyone was really interested to know what the flames of the Phenex can do against the dark flames of the dragon. After a bit of clashing, Naruto and Riser held against each before Naruto instantly dispersed his dark flame sword, where Riser moved forward and lose his balance. Naruto used this moment to get in Riser's guard, where he delivered several strong punches in his abs before kicking him away with great force. Riser's flames burst out as his injuries once again healed instantly. Riser just started to laugh out loud at Naruto's attack. Was that really supposed to hurt me? You should know already, you Phenex reject, mocked Riser. Naruto just looked on before he grew a smirk. Oh, I already know that. But for me, this gives me a perfect chance to try something that will give the win. Where a look of confidence grew in his face. As Riser looked on, Naruto dropped to the ground where he breathed deeply and calmed down his body. Once he was centered, he crossed his forearms with his hands fully open as he gathered power. I would never attempt to do that technique again, but it's a good thing that I'm only going to balance it out instead of synchronizing it, Naruto thought as he looked at his brother. The energy gathered around his open palms began to take form of the Rasengan, except it was growing bigger while one of the energy attacks was starting to grow white flames while the other became embedded with dark flames. The thing that got most their attention was the fact in Naruto's hand that held the light flame Rasengan began to sizzle/stench his skin as a small burn mark started to appear in it. I hope you're ready, brother, you'll see on what kind of Phenex I really am, the blonde thought to himself as his grin grew. Watching from a bit of distance, Shizuka, Kuroka, and Sylvia looked confused before realization hits them where three begin to panic. What is he thinking? He can't be doing that, right? Is he trying to get himself killed? Sylvia said in disbelief. I don't think so. From here, I say he's only balancing it out, not syncing it together. This will be different from the last time, Kuroka replied. That's good to hear. If he was actually going to try that again with that large amount of power, he'll get more than second-degree burns, Shizuka explained with a relieved tone in her voice. That's true, but it looks like he's only going to do the down version, which means that this match is as good as won, sounded happily the Nekashu. Everyone in the peerage heard the conversation that the three were talking about. They wondered about it where they asked him. The only thing that Kuroka said to them is just watch, since if Naruto succeeds then we'll see something that no devil could do. Naruto focused as he performed his Rasengan in both his hands while adding a certain element, an element that was starting to burn his hands because of the aura that was illuminating. The circular power that Naruto gathered has grown to be twice as big as his head, where once it was done, he crushed both energy balls in his hands which he absorbed into his body. Once Naruto infused the energies of both his energy balls, he shivered a bit before he let out a loud shout where his burst out a large amount of flames which made everyone stand at attention. Banquet room. Some leaned closer while others stood up as they saw Naruto has done something that was questioning if Naruto's isn't like Surzex and Ijuka. Rias and the others watched as he stood tall while his body was being enwrapped with energy. While watching, the dragon in Issei's boosted gear spoke up to the brunette where he actually explained on what Naruto was doing. You know what he is doing, Drake? The brunette had mentally asked. Yes, which I must say, he's both courageous and clever on using your devil's Achilles heel, Drake commented. Achilles heel, Issei mentally repeated. It's actually quite interesting. He's using the darkness flame to cover and protect his entire body while using your devil weakness outside of it. With it he'll be able to beat that flaming chicken, Drake mentioned. Our weakness? Issei questioned the Red Dragon Emperor, who agreed with him. Balance out our weakness, you don't mean he is actually trying to use, Issei started to say at getting what Drake was explaining. Hi partner, although it's not the same, but that blonde devil is going to be able to use the ability to wield the holy power of heaven, the power of light magic, Drake answered as the two turned back as Naruto screamed into the sky. Highschool DxD, Trip Innocent of D. Naruto stood tall as his body was covered in a large amount of white flames, twice his size, simply emitted around him, while his body was outlined with dark flames. The dark flames shadowed his features, but his eyes can still be seen since they were illuminating a blue power. Seeing Naruto in this form, Riser looked nervous as he can't tell what Naruto did. Before he could wonder about it, Naruto looked straight at Riser. Alright Riser, let's see how you against these kind of flames, challenging the older blonde. Before Riser could respond, Naruto shundo where he was now right in front of his brother where he delivered a strong right hook in Riser's face. Naruto quickly followed his brother after he projected him. Getting in front, he delivered a strong side kick sending him into the air. Naruto quickly flew into the air where he kept a good distance from Riser, who managed to get himself balanced in the air using his flame wings. Balancing himself, Riser looked at his brother who was floating at the same eye level as him. Seeing Naruto looking at him seriously, the only thing Riser did was just laugh at him. Ha ha! Is that all you've got? Can't you see that no matter what you do, your attacks are all, he started to say before he suddenly started to convulse where he coughed up blood. Trembling as Riser sees his blood coughing out of his mouth, as his flames were starting to weaken while trying to heal his injuries. Looking at his brother, he stared in disbelief at what Naruto just did and was pondering on how he did it. Guessing what Riser was thinking, Naruto answered not just his but also everyone in the banquet room. Are you surprised, brother? Does my ability to use holy flames surprise you? Narrowing his eyes with a confident grin. Riser just shivered a bit before he snarled at him, where Naruto declared to him to start taking him seriously since he was now going to go all out against him. Riser unleashed his power, where he was now covered in his demonic flames around his body to look like a phoenix. Once he gathered his power, he flew straight at Naruto, who also did the same thing. Both of them collided against each other, where their powers clashed for supremacy. After a bit, the two separated, where they went back and collided with each other again. Banquet room. Rias and Sona were dumbfounded, while Akino's lustful look continued to grow with each image she was seeing as they witnessed how Naruto was using his powers. Rias and Sona muttered on how Naruto is able to use holy flames. Holy flames? Asia asked curiously. Holy flames similar to the ones that the great Archangel Uriel uses, Sona answered. Even if it's a flame, Naruto's flames are both dragon and holy, which holy is a weakness for us devils by nature. That's why Naruto-san is using the dark flames to cover himself in, to protect himself from those holy flames. This also helps since he is balancing both the dark dragon flame with the holy flame. It helps put a back burning to Riser's own flames, I guess. Sona's queen suggested, which those that know what she was talking about nodded in understanding. A back burning, this is what their two flames are doing. Naruto must be using the dark flames to cancel out Riser's own demonic flame, which would leave Naruto using the holy flames in full use, which is causing Riser's pain. Sona explained the technique to those that didn't understand what they were talking about as they witnessed Riser suffering. Even the phoenix that rises again from the ashes can't recover instantly from mental damage it's receiving, Akino stated. Mental? Kaneko muttered back. Mental. That is to say, his mind isn't immortal, Rias explained. Knowing that Naruto had unleashed both his dragon and holy white flames, Rias knew that Naruto now had the ability to win. Surzex and the other members of the two families looked on at what the youngest male phoenix has done. Naruto-chan, just what have you done? Lady Phoenix silently muttered out about her youngest son. I say that he's been growing up very nicely and very strongly? Don't you two agree, Father and Lord Phoenix? Surzex said with his usual laid-back tone, but inner thought on what Naruto's training for him to be able to use such powers. But how did he do it? We all know that the cursed flame is forbidden since it's similar to the sage arts, where it gathers the corruption of the world. But instead of the world, he is gathering the destructive, corrupted power of the spirits of the evil dragon, Lord Phoenix commented. What could have happened to allow him use such a power? Lord Gremmy wondered out loud. We can ask him that later? Right now, I like to see what he can do and what this power he has can do, Surzex commented since he was really entertained. Both phoenixes fought and collided with each other as Naruto's white flames easily matched Riser's. After a bit of fighting, Naruto and Riser separated from each other where they had a good distance. Once separated, everyone can see what the damage was done to each of the brothers. Naruto didn't look any different with his flames embracing him, while Riser looked like he was dragged through the dirt. Riser panted heavily as flames tried to heal his injuries, but Naruto's holy flames made it impossible to heal him since the holy power was attacking both his body and his soul. Alright, time to end this, Naruto declared, where he focused his power. End this? Riser repeated. The light holy flames then danced around along with his black flames, where he shed his black flames where both light and darkness combined into his hand. In his hand, the Rasengan was created again, but it looked like the yin-yang symbols where Naruto used his black flames to create his own flame wings. Growling at him, Riser just gathered more flames where he threw at him. Naruto simply dodged his assault by doing a few leaps where he went back a good distance. Brother, you should remember what holy powers can do against us. And here is where you'll see where your flames truly stand against me. This is what you get for stepping over your boundary, Naruto declared with an angry look on his face. Slightly taking a step back, Riser started to shout back at Naruto. Wait, you don't understand what this marriage is all about. You should know that this marriage is important to the future of the devil race. For someone like you, who didn't inherit any of the Phoenix family's abilities, it would show that the devil race is starting to fall. A child like you, who never took any of these matters seriously, shouldn't never been declared to marry one of the other noble family house of privileged birth, Riser said, trying to convince his little brother. Is that the reason you disrespected me, insulted, and humiliated me whenever you got the chance, managed to weasel your way into becoming Ryas-chan's fiancé, and even using force to get her to marry you? You're wrong, brother. I may not be much interested in devil politics and such, but there is one thing I know. That everything you did to that point can be tolerated. But the one thing I know is what no one should have ever done. Naruto